stitchy friends. Welcome to my neck of the woods. I'm Abby. I go by Mountain Mama Stitches here on Flosstube as well as Instagram, and I am coming at you today with my 2026 WIP parade. Oh, there's Lily. Apparently, she does not want to be bothered by my talking. It's been a while since I have filmed an update or uploaded an update. Life has been pretty intense, I guess you could say. I'll talk a little bit about that. I am going to film just a kind of a modified stitchy update video, as well as talk about my 2026 plans in a separate video that hopefully will be up in the next week or so. But today we're going to do a WIP parade. I am so excited. I love WIP parade season. I just love it. It's so inspiring and it's so much fun to see, especially the Flosstube, the stitchers that you personally, this is how I feel. The stitchers that I've been following for a couple of years now. I'm familiar with the stuff they work on, their projects. I have my favorites. I'm rooting for those, and it's so much fun to see how those progress and also see how people's styles and priorities change over time. I think it's great. WIP parade season is definitely my favorite season of the year. For those of you who are returning viewers and friends, thank you for sticking with me. I'm really happy you're here, and I'm really excited to share some pretty big progress with you, as well as some new things. And for those of you who have just found me, stumbled across my channel, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a mom of two. I have a 10-year-old and a 3-year-old. I live in South Carolina, and I am a professor and scientist, and that is a lot. All that together is a lot. But stitching helps keep me sane. It helps me grounded. Creating is critically important for my well-being. If I'm not creating something or making something, I don't really feel super good. So I use stitching. I have also in the past been an avid knitter. I have been knitting a little bit lately. I'll probably talk about that in my update video. Yeah, I think that's me in a nutshell. My stomach just growled. I hope you didn't hear that. Now, I currently have 52 WIPs, which is, so I've been floss tubing for a year almost. My first video was at the end of January 2025. But I've been stitching for a couple of years now. I learned to stitch when I was probably 9 or 10 maybe. My mom taught me to stitch, and I stitched throughout my childhood and young adulthood. I stitched a good bit back in like 2018 to 2019-ish. And then I kind of fell off a little bit. And then in 2024, at the very beginning of January 2024, I decided to pick it back up again. And then I found Flosstube, and the rest was history, right? I feel like that's how it goes for everyone. I found Flosstube, and I was like, oh, so great. So I stitched for about a year as a consumer and a fan of Flosstube, and then kind of decided to be brave and dove into actually recording Flosstube videos in late January 2025. So I have 52 WIPs. I ended 2025. I ended 2024, started 2025 with 25 WIPs. And then this year I started a lot. It was a very unsettled year. For those of you who've been around, I had a major surgery. It's been kind of a wild ride, right? There's been so much socio-cultural and political unrest that's been very distressing to me, and I'm sure many others. My work has been affected by it because I am funded. My work is funded through the National Institutes of Health. Hi, how are you? Yes, what would you like? Come here, come on. I know, go lay down. This is Lily, she's my baby girl. I also have a cat, Pie, who makes an appearance sometimes. Okay, come on, you know what to do. Go on. Where was I? 2025 is weird, right? 2025 was a weird year for me. And when I'm a little unsettled or stressed or feeling a little unhinged, maybe not, that's like a really strong word, but you know what I mean. If I'm feeling a little out of sorts, I tend to start stuff and buy stuff. So those are my coping mechanisms. So I had a lot of new starts in 2025. So now I'm at 52. About halfway through 2025, I started using Notion. and it's been an awesome tool for me to track my WIPs. I'm a data person. I mean, I'm a scientist, so I'm a data person, and I will talk a little bit about numbers and trends and stuff throughout this video, but I usually kind of just keep track of everything for my sake, because I enjoy seeing what I'm doing reflected as numbers, like a big nerd. So I started using Notion, and as part of that, I also kind of rethought or kind of changed the way I frame or think about my stitching, in that because I think what was happening was I had quite a few WIPs at that point, and I was having a hard time just deciding what to work on. I was like, at all these WIPs, some of them I would just like out of sight, out of mind. My ADHD brain would just be like, oh yeah, you do have that. I didn't like that feeling. So I started using Notion to really kind of organize my thoughts about stitching, my priorities for stitching. I am not a great goal stitcher. I am very much a whim stitcher or a mood stitcher, but I felt like I needed a little bit of structure to kind of help me, I think, leverage those whims and those moods in a way that felt good about the kinds of progress that I was making. I'm like a really weird hybrid between a process stitcher and a product stitcher. I like the process of stitching, obviously. It's very enjoyable. But I also want things done and like hung up on my wall. Like, I want to enjoy them every day, being able to look at them and admire them and like have them reflect something about me in my physical space. So I want to get some stuff done this year. And the way I'm talking about my WIPs in this WIP parade is kind of a reflection of that. So we're 7 minutes in. Let's get started. So what I'm going to do is I have kind of grouped my WIPs by kind of like what I would like to accomplish this year. My overarching goal for stitching this year is to move every single one of my WIPs to the next percentage complete bunch mark in the process. So I keep track of where my kind of what I'm shooting for, and I'm stitching toward like getting to 10% on certain projects, getting to 25%, getting to 50%, getting to 75%, and finishing. Now my BAPs, my big ass projects, those I know I'm not going to get 25% stitched in any given year. It's probably a little too much to ask for most of them. So those I think of as, I have BAP baby steps. So those I'm just trying to get to the next 10% benchmark every single year. So for example, if I have a project that's like 13%, my goal for 2026 is to get it to 20%. And that usually constitutes quite a few stitches. So that makes it kind of a reasonable, like realistic goal that I can actually achieve. The nice thing about that is it gives me the freedom to do it whenever I want. I just feel like, by the end of the year, I would like to get this to 20%, right? That means I can pull it out on a whim whenever I want, and know that I'm, if I can stitch to the point eventually of getting it to 20%, I'll be really proud of myself and really happy. So I'm going to be presenting my WIPs in those groupings. So I'm going to start out with the projects that I am really focusing on finishing in 2026. Some of these I'm focusing on finishing because they are already past the 75% mark, and therefore that's just the next benchmark. But I'm also thinking about my WIPs as sort of, let's kind of clear those WIPs that are like just lingering, and a little bit of concentrated effort or focus would just finish them, and then I could hang them up or put them wherever I want. So my 100% goal category, I'm calling it kind of like my finish line category. And these are projects that have less than 3,000 stitches to do on them. So 3,000 stitches for me is about 10 days of stitching. And I know that is very doable over the course of a year, right? That's doable in a month if I really wanted to do it. So I've kind of categorized WIPs as, I want to just get these finished, and I know exactly how many stitches are left on them, and I know that it's a reasonable amount of time that is very doable with a little bit of focus. There are a couple of projects in here, and I'll talk about each of those individually, where they have more than 3,000 stitches left, but I do want to finish them for a specific reason in 2026, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So we're going to start with that category because that's a fun one, right? That's one that these are the projects that are being front and center in my mind, and hopefully will be showing up quite a bit in my update videos. So let's get started. Now, I will say that these are not in any particular order within each category. That's just a little too much organization for me to handle right now. Also, I didn't iron, I didn't unzip. Just, yeah, I'm here. And that is the win today. I am here recording my WIP parade, and we're just going to celebrate that. And we're not going to talk about all the things I haven't done along the way. Also, I can't find my little display board. So, okay. So this project I started at the end of December 2025. I'll show you. I don't have a picture of it yet, but I'll try to upload one later. This is a project called Grateful Praise. It's by Heartstring Samplery. And this gorgeous project came in the November 2025 Black Needle Society retreat in a box, that, you know, the bi-monthly retreat boxes they send. It's beautiful. You know, I saw it, and I'm not like necessarily initially like immediately drawn to band samplers, but I do love a good heartstring samplery, and also the words on it are what really hooked me. It says, "For the beauty of each hour, of the day and of the night, hill and vale and tree and flower, sun and moon and stars of light." Gorgeous. So, you know, in 2025, which was a really challenging year, I found myself falling into that vicious cycle of really focusing on all the things that were going wrong. So I am trying to make a conscious effort to just to try to shift my focus a little bit more toward the things that are going right in my life and all the wonderful things that bring me joy, and the beauty of the world, so that I don't get kind of sucked back into that cycle of really just feeling very hopeless and desperate about things, right? So I know gratitude doesn't fix all of our problems, but I do know that it also makes me feel a little bit better to just kind of appreciate the beauty in the world a little bit every day. So this project is one that I started at the end of December. Like I said, I have my notes right here, which is why I'm looking down. Let's find out when I started that. I started on the 28th of December. And it is my goal to finish this project by the end of 2026. I do want this to kind of be like my mantra project for 2026. Let me hold it for you. Because it's so, I just love the message behind it, right? And it is really meaningful to me right now. Now, this is being stitched on, I currently have stitched, where is it? I've stitched 2,354 stitches. I'm guesstimating there's about 9,000 stitches in this project, but I don't exactly know yet because I have not uploaded the full pattern into Markup RXP, which is what I use to stitch. So I am going to do that eventually, but for now I just have page 1 uploaded. But I've stitched over 2,000 stitches already, and I'm halfway done with that page 1, which is great. So I'm probably roughly somewhere between 10 and 15%. I can give, I'll have a more exact number in the future. This is being stitched on a 40 count Bestitch Me linen that I I purchased during a Friday night fight night recently. It was my first Friday night fight night. Friday night fight night is really fun. It's on the Bestitch Me Facebook page, and Brandy of Bestitch Me uploads hundreds of fabrics, and people kind of claim them. It's like a race to claim the ones they want the most. And so I got several neutrals because I was trying to kind of build up my neutral stash, which I really didn't have much of. I'm a color person, and the wilder the better. So I was like, I need some neutrals so that like I can actually stitch something on neutral if I want to without having to purchase something. This is a really beautiful neutral. It has a little bit of apricot in it, like kind of a little hint of apricot. Interestingly, though, it also has a hint of green. You can't really tell right now in the video or in the image, right, with this lighting, but it does have this like very, very subtle hint of green that I love. And when I saw it, I knew that it was perfect for this particular floss. This is Fairy Penguin by Cottage Garden Threads. Beautiful, beautiful floss. It's like a grayish, greenish teal. Basically my favorite color in the whole world. And for those of you who've never been here before, we have a we have a penguin problem in my household, and fairy penguins are the penguins that started this problem, and it's a good problem, not a bad problem. But fairy penguins are very, very near and dear to my heart. When I found out that Cottage Garden Threads had a floss called Fairy Penguin, I lost my mind, and I bought, I didn't even care what color it was going to be. I was like, well, no matter what, I have to get it. And I bought enough of this floss for a monochromatic. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, it's meant to be because it's the most beautiful color in the world. And so I bought enough of it to do a monochromatic, like a large monochromatic pattern on. And it matched. That green is very similar to kind of like the washes of green that are in here that are so subtle. So I just think it looks amazing. So there you go, one more time. This is Grateful Praise by Heartstring Samplery. It's really fun to stitch. What I find really fun about it is that it's almost meditative, and because the bands, like as they're just repeating, they're repeating patterns. Once you get, once I repeat a couple times, I have it kind of memorized, and then I don't really need to look at my iPad at all. Obviously different for the letters, but you can see it just really becomes very rhythmic and repetitive. And then by the time I'm like, oh my God, if I have to stitch another repeat of this pattern, I'm going to lose my mind. It's over. And it's time to stitch a different pattern, a different repeat. So I'm really loving that aspect of it. It seems to work very well for my brain and is giving me a lot more appreciation for band samplers like this, where, it's relatively narrow. And so the number of, little pattern repeats are not very excessive. And so by the time I'm done, I'm like, wow, I got a whole row done. And I only hated it like the last repeat or two. So that is, oh, and I'll show you my pattern, my project bags when I remember to. This is a beautiful project. Hold on. I don't want to zip it back up. It's already obnoxious as it is. This is a portfolio from CrossStitchTraveler, who's actually a local maker to me. They live not too far from me, and they also, so you can see here their little these. I have two of these. They're often at like local retreats and stitching days, and they're sold at my local needle workshop, and I just love these portfolios. They are amazing. They're very they hold their shape, which is I like, but they're not stiff and they're not bulky, and they're very lightweight despite having that like quite a bit of structure. Okay, here's another pattern that I would like to finish in 2026 for a specific reason. And this is because this is a present for my son that I just need to get done and give to him. I mentioned we have a penguin problem, right? So my son is absolutely obsessed with, I really wish I had my board, and I'm trying to look around to see if there's anything I can use as a substitute. I don't know. Okay. This is Ruskin's Penguins. Beautiful, beautiful pattern. This is by Modern Folk Embroidery. So like I was saying, my son is absolutely obsessed with penguins, has been for a couple of years now, and I am highly encouraging of that obsession. We do everything we can to encourage it. And as part of that, I've stitched him several penguin themed things, and he loves every single time I do it. He does not know about this one. In the past, he's usually known about what I'm stitching for him, and he's been like, Mom, when are you going to finish my thing? This was supposed to be a surprise for this Christmas. Clearly didn't get her done, right? Let me see if I can just at least sort of show you. There you go. So pretty. So I got one penguin in. He's super cute. So this is Ruskin's Penguins. It's by Modern Folk Embroidery. It is being stitched on a 36 count, what's it called? Mirage linen by Picture This Plus. I'm using a DMC conversion. I'm just using 310 for black. I'm using Blanc for white. And then I think this is $5.97. You can't really see it very well, but in person it does show up a lot better than this. And it says something along the lines of one can't be angry when one is looking at penguins or something like that. Or it's hard to be angry when one is looking at penguins. Basically just a little tribute to how amazing penguins are and how much joy they bring us. This one's a little bit beefier or is pretty beefy as far as stitch count goes, at least to me it is. It has a total of 6,386 stitches on it. In it, I am past the 26, I'm past the 25% mark. So in 2025, once I recognized I wasn't going to finish it for Christmas, I said to myself, okay, well, at least get it to 25%, Abby. And that's what I did. And so at least, you know, that felt good, right? To get it that far. But I really, so I've put over 1,000 stitches into it. And I really just want to buckle down and finish this and fully finish it in time for Christmas next year. And that is very doable. So I have, so I don't know how many stitches I have left. Where is it? Do I have that information? I don't think I have like the number of stitches left, but just imagine, right? It's like a little under 5,000 basically. So with a little bit of focus, I can get that done. And I know that my son will go absolutely nuts over it. I do only stitch on it when he's not here because I don't want him to know about it. It's just too cute. This is in a project bag, a vinyl front project bag. Oh, shoot. Oh, Crafty Husky. I was like, I'm going to forget the name. I think it's Crafty Husky on Etsy. Really nicely made. And I love this. When I saw this fabric, I was like, yep, that's going to be a little penguin there. Owls. I stitch a lot of owl-y things. And so I'm excited that once I'm done with this penguin, I can either put another penguin in it or I can move it to be focused on an owl project. Now this is in the library. It is a pattern that is so beautiful. Many of you might have seen it. It's from MojoStitches. She's an Australian designer. And if you don't know, I have a deep love for Australia and New Zealand, which is reflected in a lot of my stitching. But this is where I'm at so far. I started this project on April 21st, 2024, just before I went to Australia for a 2-week-long trip with my son. I stitched a little bit of it on that trip, but it was a little bit harder because the fabric is a little dark and there's a lot of color changes. And I just found that hard to manage like on the plane and stuff. But I did stitch it when we were like stationary, like in the hotel room and stuff. I stitched quite a bit on it. And right now, where am I at on this one? I'm at 62%. There are 7,361 stitches altogether in this project, and I've done over 4,500. So a little under 3,000 left to go, and I will be done. I'm really excited to finish this one for the purposes of like, I want it on my wall. It is so cute. It has a little orange kitty in it, and that orange kitty, I have an orange kitty. I have a little ginger cat who is like classic orange cat. So I love books and plants and just look at this lamp. It's so gorgeous. Now I did do a color a floss conversion for this one too. It's actually called for in Cottage Garden threads. At the time when I started this, I didn't actually have any Cottage Garden threads. I'd never stitched with them. They are now, I mean, I think I can easily say they're my favorite floss dyer and floss company. I just adore their threads, and I have quite a few now. But at the time I didn't. So I just basically took whatever I had in stash and I made it work. Some of it's DMC, some of it is some fancy floss. You can see here some DMCs. And then I have a couple of different classic color works. You know, I didn't have a huge fancy floss stash at the time, but I had some. I made it work, and it's fine. It's working great. This is stitched on a 32 count smoky pearl linen by Zweigart. Definitely off-centered there. What else we got here? This is another finish line project with under 3,000 stitches left to go. I started this project in the You're Gonna Be All Right stitch along, hosted by Jen from Jen's Fiber Web back in the fall of 2025. This is You Got This, and it is a pattern by the Artsy Housewife. Doesn't look like much right now, but I promise it's gonna be there. It's a really cute pattern. Obviously, you'll have seen the picture by now. A really cute pattern of an owl with a little coffee cup that says You Got This on it. This is being stitched on 32 count linen. I believe it's from Laura's Fabric. This came with the Frogwarts year 6 box that I got from the Black Needle Society, and it's just really perfect for this pattern. Oh, now it's upside down. Sorry, guys. It's really perfect. This is a fat 1/8, and I actually am only going to use half of it. And this is again just a floss conversion with what I had in stash. I'm not like super in love with my conversion. I think there were some things that I would change now looking back, and that's actually kind of what stalled me out on stitching this project is I was like, do I want to continue with this conversion or do I want to do a new one? I, after much thought, have decided to just push forward and do it, because it's not that I hate it. It's just that it's not what I was hoping for, if that makes sense. And so I've let go of expectations and I'm just going to do it and be done. So yeah, this one is at, where am I? Okay, you got this. There it is. So I started this September 11th, 2025. I have 917 stitches in. It has a little under 4,000 stitches altogether, so I am at almost at 25%. But I'm not going to let this linger. If I can avoid it, I'm going to finish it up. And maybe I'll finish that up next fall when we're hopefully, no pressure, Jen, but hopefully Jen from Jen's Fiber Web will host that SAL again, and I can work on all of the OWL projects I've started. All right. So this project is another one that I want to finish. It is a finish line project in that it has less than 3,000 stitches, but I also want to finish it up so I can give it as a Christmas gift. I was supposed to do that this year and I didn't. So I would like to do that. Mom, if you're watching and you don't want to see what your Christmas gift is going to be next year, just skip ahead, okay? Skip ahead. I think you already know about this project, but okay, you've been warned. Okay, so this is Amaryllis by Mill Hill. It's one of their buttons and beads projects. This is not going to work. Here we go. It's one of their buttons and beads projects. It is an Amaryllis, which is something my mom has over the years collected many different varieties of Amaryllis, and they bloom every year in her house. They're very beautiful. She got me hooked on them for a while there too, but with kids and a dog and a cat, it's hard to keep anything alive that requires more than just watering when I remember. So here we go. Amaryllis, it's really pretty. Here's what it's gonna look like. Sorry for the glare. Really pretty. It is my first buttons and beads project from Mill Hill. I enjoy it, but I found very quickly that if I can't just hold the perforated paper. It really bothers my hands and my wrists. So I did get one of these wooden frames. I got it off of an Etsy maker. I'll try to link that. This is the game changer for me. I cannot stitch this project without this frame. I'm actually having a really hard time stitching the smaller ornaments from Mill Hill without a frame now too. I was working on one over Christmas. I couldn't finish it. It was actually causing me so many problems. So I need to find like an ornament sized one as well. So that one has a little over 5,300 stitches, and I'm at 52%. I have 2,800 and some stitches done. So, and that's including the beads, right? So I don't have any beads done, but that remaining 50% includes all of the beading as well, which I really enjoy doing. So I'm looking forward to getting to the beading part of that project. There are quite a few beads, and I think it's going to be really fun to do. And yeah, so that will be hopefully done by next Christmas, and will be a Christmas gift for my mama. We'll see if she watched that or not. Okay, so this one is one that's very precious to me, and also slotted, I'm prioritizing for a finish, not because it's a finish line project, actually it has a ton of stitching left, but because it's very meaningful to me, and I want to have it done as a, I want it done, and I want to be able to see it every day. So this is called To Remember You. It is a pattern by the Artsy Housewife. I started this September 6th, 2025. God, this is such a gorgeous pattern. I mean, come on, people. Like, oh my gosh. This is a memorial piece. It says, this work I do to remember you. And this is a project I am stitching in honor of someone I love very dearly, who died by suicide in 2025. And that's really affected me, obviously. And this is something I decided to start in the fall when I felt ready to start stitching a memorial piece. And it's just beautiful. It's on 36 count Dark Peacock by XJU Design, which honestly might be my favorite fabric ever. Like this color. So this color is like the color of my soul. It's the only way I can describe it. I wear this color a lot. I gravitate toward this color. It's just, it's me. Like this is me in a color. And I just adore it. And And yeah, I'm only going to use part of it. I'm going to use probably like a fat eighth amount, not even. So I will have a lot left over to play with, and I'm really excited about that. Here is the floss I'm using, which is a gorgeous, so again, I gravitate toward these colors. I did not buy either of these for this project, but once I saw them together, I knew immediately it's what I would do. This is a limited edition floss by Hand Dyed by Rolanda. Huge fan of Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I have quite a few of her really beautiful variegated threads. I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It's teal, it's purple. It's just stunning. Teal and purple are, not only is teal my favorite color, teal and purple are kind of the colors of the suicide awareness and prevention ribbon and stuff, kind of the colors they selected to represent that, and that's extra meaningful. This is also the color of my dear friend's car from high school. It was a little darker, a little greener, but it was like a dark green with a little hint of teal, and we spent a lot of time in the car. And so that's like, there's all these reasons why this project is very special. I made a little scissor fob and has a little butterfly on it. I just thought it was really pretty. September is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. And, kind of that all coming together really was what inspired me to start that project finally. It has a lot of stitches in it. Did I already tell you that? It has 6,731 stitches in it. I have 736 completed, so I'm at 10%. Initially, I was like, maybe I will really push hard and finish this to finish it by the 1 year anniversary of her death. I don't think that's realistic, and so I'm not going to set myself up for it and then feel really disappointed because it's so special to me. So my goal is really just to get as much done as I can throughout the year and finish it by the end of the year. If I finish it earlier, great. If not, understandable, right? And I don't know, and that would be in April. I just can't finish that many stitches by April. I mean, I could if it's the only thing I stitched on, but I don't usually do well when that's the expectation on myself. Okay, so this one is another finish line project because there's just really not much left done to do on it. And where is it? Okay, there it is. It's called Please Be Patient With Me. It's really funny. It's called Please Be Patient With Me. I'm from the 1900s. Here's all I have done on it. I don't love stitching on this project. It's quite boring to stitch on if you ask me, but I have to have it done. I want to put it on my wall at work because we're now at the point where all of my students that I teach and mentor were born in the 2000s. And that's weird. It makes me feel very old. And so I think this pattern is hilarious. It's pretty sparse, like not a ton of stitching. It's a pattern from designed by an Etsy seller. CrossStitchTraveler is the name of the Etsy seller. It's being stitched on 18 count Hints of Gray Aida from DigiStitchery, also on Etsy, which is one of the really cool like digitally printed Aidas that I just kind of have laying around, and it works out well for this project. Altogether, it only has a little more than 2,500 stitches on it to complete. I've got 675 done already, so I'm at 26%. And I'm just going to sit down at some point and knock this out. I mean, this is just, less than 2,000 stitches is like a week of stitching for me, right? So I just want to knock it out and get it done so it's no longer lingering. I'm doing all the called for DMCs, which are just a few colors. Making some progress. The next one that is a finish line project is Mouse's Pumpkin Pie, which is so cute. Mouse's Pumpkin Pie by Tiny Modernist. I think this is a relatively newer release of hers. I think she released it this fall. I got this as a gift from one of my stitching buddies in my Stitching Connection group. Lauren sent this to me, and I just thought it was so sweet and so cute, and I started it immediately. I'm not much of like a cutesy stitcher usually, but this one just got me. I don't know what it is. I think it's the little, her skirt and the little turkey, like all of it. It's just so cute. And it's been a fun one to stitch. It's been kind of like a travel piece for me at times, and I haven't stitched on it lately, but I did get a good bit done. So here's where I'm at with that. Really precious. I'm doing a floss conversion with some fancy flosses I have in stash. They're not perfect, but they're good enough for me, and I'm pretty happy with them. This is being stitched on 18 count, what is it? It's 18 count milk and honey. 18 count milk and honey. And I think that's fiber on a whim. Am I right? I have a huge, like I have like a half yard or a yard of it or something, and I just cut little chunks off as I need them because it's really a great neutral. It's an Aida. It's easy to stitch on. It's very soft. Let me show you the flosses I'm using. Using so many different flosses. Oh my gosh. So there's some Afterglow in here. If y'all haven't tried Afterglow flosses, they're great. They're so beautiful. From Forbidden Fiber Co., some Gentle Art, some Classic Colorworks, some Stitchy Stuff Co. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in here. This is also from Afterglow. Funny story, I bought a bunch of threads from Afterglow, and they're beautiful. And then my son promptly spilled chocolate milk on a bunch of them. And so this is one with chocolate milk on it. I just haven't washed it yet. Just keep forgetting. And so I've just like had to like cut around it. So it's not on the whole thing. It's just like one little section has chocolate milk on it. All crusty and crinkly. I was annoyed. He felt really bad. He's like, oh, that's like the worst thing I could have spilled that on. I was like, yeah, dude, it was. Okay. Oh, these are fun. Okay. These are 2 projects that are kind of part of a series for me. Well, they're part of a series, and I'm stitching them as part of a series. The first one, and it's by the Proper Stitcher. The first one is There Is Room at the Table for Everyone. Gorgeous, gorgeous pattern. I started this back in April 2025. I started this at my first ever retreat, and I felt like, oh man, that's so meaningful. There's room for everyone at the table, right? It was the Stitch and Kitten retreat in here near Columbia, South Carolina, in Irmo. It was their first time hosting a retreat. It was my first time going to a retreat. And the people who I ended up sitting with, I was really nervous, like about finding someone to sit with. And the people who I ended up sitting with at the table, they were all first time retreat people, and they were just so lovely. And it was like we were all nervous, right? We were all kind of scared to go in without friends. And they were just wonderful. I had so much fun with them. It also happened to be the weekend after my dear friend had passed away, and so I was really just so grateful to have kind of stumbled across a group that was just kind and inclusive and funny, and we just had a blast. So that is There Is Room for Everyone at the Table. This is being stitched on a 32 count Cabernet linen by Picture This Plus. I actually bought this fat 8th at on the D-stash table at the retreat. I thought it was beautiful. And then I remembered I had this thread, this floss from Hand Dyed by Rolanda, once again. This is to come in a Black Needle Society box. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be so perfect with that pink, that reddish pink, right? And so I decided to use it, and it's gorgeous. It's speckled, like almost freckled. Speckled. Here, that's great. You can see that, I think. Look how cool those little speckles are. They're all these different little colors. They give it some really nice visual interest without making it feel like it's a variegated floss and like kind of distracting from the overarching, like kind of unified image. It's called Rainfall. It is a 25-yard skein. And again, it was a special edition. Beautiful. So after later in the year, I had decided I really loved Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And I ordered several things from her right before the tariffs hit because she's a Canadian maker. And I wanted to make sure that with all the tariffs coming, I wanted to make sure that I was able to support her and do so before all the uncertainty began. And so she was really great about, shipping my order quickly. I interacted with her on Etsy. I loved it. And one of the things I decided to do was she had this floss listed on Etsy. And you can see it's like kind of the same theme, right? It's like this light color that has all these speckles. The speckles are very similar. There's some orange and some blue. And I decided that I wanted to get this one, and I got an orange one. Actually, is the orange one handy? I was just playing with it earlier. Yeah, here's the orange one. Because by that time, I also knew that the Proper Stitcher had released a new pattern in this series that I instantly bought. Well, I bought it as soon as it was available as a PDF, let's put it that way. And this is Strive for Joy, Not Perfection. And if I had to say one thing that is like a constant challenge for me is perfectionism. And so this pattern, the fact that it matches this other one that's meaningful to me, oh, I was like, yes, you are going to be stitched by me. And so I waited for a bit because I wanted this to be my 2026 blessing sampler. And I waited for a bit to figure out what fabric to use. And then this fabric, again, a fat 8th, 32 count. This is Silver Fox by Fiber on a Whim. This fabric came from the Niceless box. I got it in December. I opened it then. And it kind of spoke to me as a really nice complementary fabric for this one. I think the saturation felt similar. Maybe that's what the word is. They just kind of felt like a similar feel, like a muted, faded color that's really beautiful, but not like overpowering. And I felt like they would go really nicely, like they would look really good if they were to be hung near each other. And then, of course, I thought about this like kind of little yellow-green floss I had. And I said, well, that's kind of a similar feel or contrast as that pink and the red. So I just was like, okay, I'm going for it. And I think it's really pretty. This one I started just recently. When did I start it? Sorry, everyone. Strive for Joy. I started on January 8th. Today is January 10th, I think. 11th, January 11th. So those two together, the cool thing about these is they're really beautiful and they're very spacious. So there's not a ton of stitching on them, but it's very effective. The patterns are really effective, I think. Each of the patterns, so Strive for Joy has a little over 3,000 stitches on it altogether. And There's Room at the Table has like 3,500 stitches on it. So my goal is to finish both of these this year. My goal for this one is to get as far as I can in January. Again, this is kind of like my 2026 blessing sampler, but I don't think I'm going to get it done. I know myself. Maybe I will. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be done at the end of January. It's not a rule. So those two together, hoping to finish up this year. And then I'm really hoping the Proper Stitcher will release a third in this series because I love them so much. And then I can use this pretty orange with like a redder, like a rust color, I think. Rust color fabric would be really nice. We'll see what I have in stash when that time comes around. And that would be, I think, just really nice. So those are those two patterns. Again, on my to finish list. Both of them are technically finish line projects because I have less than 3,000 stitches on them. Okay, we are down to 3 projects that I'm hoping to finish this year. Yeah, this is going to be a long WIP parade. Okay, so this one is part of what I'm calling my Korok Seeds series. Korok Seeds are a reference to a game, The Legends of Zelda, and it's a video game. And I am not a video gamer, but I love playing Legends of Zelda. My partner got me hooked on it. My son loves it. We play as a family. It's the only game I've ever played to the end of. I just love it. We just love it. It's so amazing. So as a little commemoration, I wanted to do a seasons piece, like a 4 seasons piece last year in 2025. And I found these awesome little Korok Seeds patterns. They're by JEDxStitch, who is an amazing designer and so much fun to stitch her patterns. And so this is how far I've gotten. So I did winter. The goal, of course, was to do them during their respective seasons last year and finish by the end of 2025. But I am who I am. Here we are. So this is the winter one. It's called Winter Seeds by JEDxStitch. Isn't it so cute? Ah! So that little guy there is a Korok. He's the Korok of all Koroks. Here's a Korok. They're just little creatures. They're so cute, and they hide in the world in the video game and pop up like little Easter eggs. It's great. And then this is spring seeds, and so I'm doing it right next to winter. The spring seeds. I've got. When did I start this? Part of the problem is I started it late, so I didn't finish it in the spring. I started it May 17th. And it has 3,500 stitches, and I have over 1,000 stitches. So I'm about a third of the way done. It's not too bad. It's so much fun to stitch. I don't know why I ever put it down and didn't pick it back up again, but I'm excited to work on that. This is being stitched on 32 count Nessie linen, but from Picture This Plus. It's just a big fat quarter. It should fit. It will fit. I've measured it a bazillion times. Once I get another season started, I'll probably cut it down a little bit because it is kind of big. So prior to Dark Peacock becoming my favorite fabric ever, this was my favorite fabric ever. It's so pretty. I have several projects on Nessie by Picture This Plus. So that one, I want to finish Spring Seeds by the end of the year. I also have a goal to start the other two seasons in their respective seasons this year. So even if I'm not done with spring yet, I want to start fall, summer, and I want to start autumn because I want to at least have them placed on the fabric so that I can pick them up. And I already own the patterns. I want to be able to pick them up and just stitch on them when I want to. But my goal to finish is really just spring. All right, two more. Let's do it. This one is hilarious. Y'all, feel free to. No, I was going to say, feel free to shame me in the comments, but don't do that. Don't do that. I will not handle that well. Feel free to encourage me lovingly in the comments to just finish this dang thing. Okay, you're going to laugh. All right, this is Secret Garden by Tiny Modernist. All of the crosses are done and have been done since like September or October. Look how, August. We're done in August. Look how gorgeous it is. Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. Why? Oh, why am I not done? I know why I don't really love backstitching. This is all backstitching. Look at it. Oh, it's so pretty. Wow. Oh my gosh. Why am I not done? Look at the door. This is one of the early, like I started this in, I want to say like maybe March or April 2024. One of the earlier, this is definitely my first Tiny Modernist. Definitely one of the earlier like projects I started that was like, I went on 1, 2, 3 stitch and I ordered the pattern and I ordered the flosses and I ordered the fabric and I got it all together and I started it and it's so beautiful. Gosh, I just need to finish this. Now I'm gonna like stitch on this afterward. I just needed to pull it out and see it in all its glory to be motivated to finish it. So again, this is by Tiny Modernist. I started it March 20th, 2024. It is all the called for DMC. It's being stitched on a 16 count French Latte Ada from Witchell, I think. It has 6,500 stitches in it, and I have completed all of the cross stitches. I just need to do all the back stitching. And it says, what it's going to say is, if you look the right way, the whole world is a garden. And I love it. I love the sentiment. I love the imagery. Oh gosh, this is so funny. So funny story, I finished this, or I was working on this in August after my surgery. And so I was all like stuck in my recliner and just stitching thousands of stitches a day and losing my mind. And I was also having I was eating in my recliner because I couldn't sit upright at a table yet. And so I had been stitching on this and working on it and finishing it. And I was just starting to do the back stitch, I think. And then my partner brought me my dinner, which included balsamic vinegar. And look what I did. Within like moments of getting to a point where I was like, oh my gosh, I'm almost done. I think I even taken it out of the hoop already, I think. And I spilled balsamic vinegar on it. I was like, well, that's just peachy. I don't know if I'll get it out or not. If anyone has any advice, let me know. If I can't, I'm okay. I don't know how I'm gonna finish this. I think it would look. I probably will get this professionally framed, honestly, because I haven't done that yet. But there are certain projects that I think really the beauty of them just warrants professional framing, and I think this is one of them. And I think I could probably have the framer have the mat be kind of like mirroring the shape of this. Have it be a square frame, but have the mat kind of mirroring the shape, and that would then hide my balsamic vinegar. Like I said, all I have left to do is the lettering, little back stitches, which just feels slightly torturous to me. It's in 3799. That's why that's still in there. All right, so gentle encouragement in the comments to finish this dang thing. Okay, last one on my finish list for 2026. This is I Cry a Lot. It's a pattern by an Etsy seller. Which one? CrazzzyStitch. It's CrazzzyStitch, but there's 3 Z's. So it says, I cry a lot, but I am so productive, which is a Taylor Swift lyric. One of my favorites, honestly. One of my favorite songs of hers. If you've been around for any period of time in this neck of the woods, you'll know that my 3-year-old is obsessed with purple, and she's obsessed with Taylor Swift. I mean, obsessed. Like, holy moly. We have watched the Eras Tour video, like all 3 hours of it, hundreds of times at this point. We know all the lyrics. We know all the songs. I am now a Taylor Swift fan. I didn't know I was going to be, but here I am in my 40s becoming a Taylor Swift fan. So I started this for her on a whim. I just thought it was so cute. I only stitched on it for a day, but I do love the way it's looking. And this is being stitched on this really pretty 32 count linen by Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers. I love their fabrics. And it's called Lavender Haze, again, which is amazing. That's a Taylor song. I'm a Swiftie. I'm a late in life Swiftie is what I've called myself. Here's what that looks like. Beautiful purple. And so once I saw this pattern and I was like, oh, this is just going to be so perfect on this little purple. I'm going to probably frame it and put it in my office, honestly, because I just think it's a funny little sentiment. I am definitely doing a conversion. I'm not really following the pattern closely as far as like the colorways and stuff. I'm doing things quite differently, but I picked, it all started with, it was inspired by this floss, which is a floss from it's a Cottage Garden Threads. It's from the Chaos collection of 2025, which I did order and I am in love with and I have big plans for, so stay tuned for that. So this is the confetti from the Chaos collection, and I just loved it. I love that it has a little bit of purple in it, but it's mostly pink, has a little bit of orange. It's just really fun. And what I did was I just then found other Cottage Garden threads and one color in cotton from my stash that kind of like broke down this chaos, right? Like they were basically like the different colors that went into the chaos thread. And so what I'm doing with this, we'll see how it looks. I mean, this is an experiment, but luckily it's a pretty low stakes experiment. What I'm doing with this is I am stitching the letters in this color, in this chaos collection color. I'm stitching all the letters in that. And then I'm stitching any of the flowers and the little like stars and sparkles and all of that, any of the symbols and the little flowers, I'm stitching in one of these, you know, semi-solids. It's meant to kind of pull from the wild one. So yeah, that one doesn't have very many stitches in it. It's not very big. Let's talk about it. It has, it has 1,900 stitches altogether. I've done 191. Technically at 10%. But this would take only a couple days to finish if I put my mind to it. So here we go. I started this on August 26th, 2025. At like 2 in the morning after my surgery. I was like on a whim, and I'm glad I did it. I have no regrets. This is in a frozen fabric vinyl front bag. This is from the pop-up stitcher. I really like these bags. So this is my official endorsement of the pop-up stitcher on Etsy. Their bags are awesome. They are super structured, but not like hard, right? they're structured and they stay upright, which is like really my biggest pet peeve in a bag. Is like when I put it on the shelf, I want it to kind of like hold itself up instead of like that thing that they do. Okay, so we got through the finish category. Let's move on to my BAP category. So stay tuned, hold please. I'm gonna go over here to my pile of WIPs. Look at that pile of WIPs, and find all my BAPs and bring them back and talk to you about those. Okay, I'm back. I had to sift through the pile to find the ones I was looking for. I think I got them all. I didn't check, hold on. If I didn't, we'll wing it. I forgot one, hold on. Okay, so we'll start with the one I forgot. I have managed to remember to unzip all of these this time, so you're welcome. So like I kind of alluded to at the beginning of this WIP parade, good gracious, okay, the beginning of the WIP parade is that for my BAPs, my big ass projects, now granted, big ass project to me is really not that big to many people. I am not the kind of person who will take on a project with hundreds of thousands of stitches. I know myself. That is not a good thing for me to do. And I honestly find it so overwhelming. I don't think I could ever do it. Maybe I will someday. Who knows? The biggest project I have is 46,000 stitches, and that feels really big to me. So again, for my BAPs, they're anything over 20,000 stitches total. I have, I believe, 6 or 7 of them. And we'll look at them now in no particular order. And my goal for these is just get them to the next 10% benchmark this year. So that is, you know, for some of them, that's 4,000 stitches. For some, it's 22,000 stitches or so. If I get more, awesome, great. But my bare minimum goal is just make that little baby step progress of getting it to the next 10% benchmark. Oh, some of these are my favorites. I'm going to say that every time, probably. Okay, so this is, oh my gosh, so beautiful. This is my Snow Queen. She's so gorgeous. So this is Snow Queen by Mirablia. Oh, I forgot how beautiful she was. I haven't worked on her in a while. She needs some love. She's ahead. Here she is. Oh, you guys. Okay, the Snow Queen from Mirabilia. This is a depiction of the like legend or story of the Snow Queen, who in popular culture nowadays we know as Elsa from Frozen. My kids loved Elsa from Frozen. I loved Elsa from Frozen. And this was actually the first Mirabilia I was drawn to stitch. I saw it and I had seen, I believe it was Julie from Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World had finished hers on a really beautiful fabric, and it made me realize and like kind of understand how much Mirabilias can be personalized and like made like enhanced by appropriate, like not appropriate, but like creative use of fabric. And that's what I did. I spent like 2 months trying to figure out what fabric to put her on. And this was a Mother's Day present for me in 2024. My partner got it for me. He got me the specialty flosses. He got me the bead kit, the embellishment kit, and all the DMCs, and then the fabric that I had picked out. So this is being stitched on 32 count Gothic linen from Picture This Plus. It is an absolutely gorgeous fabric. And why I purchased it, I wish like you couldn't see through it because it's just so beautiful. I purchased this because I wanted a fabric that looked like the Aurora Borealis or the Northern Lights. That was my goal. Like that was what I was shooting for, was something that was reminiscent of, or kind of like at least reminded me of, the Northern Lights. And because, you know, this is a Norwegian, or yeah, I believe it's a Norwegian legend. You know, it really is just, I wanted it to pick that. So I got the fabric and it was even better than I expected it to be. So it's amazing. I got a half yard because I had to in order to make it big enough. But then I see what that was. It allowed me to kind of pick what part of the fabric I got to center her on. And that's where I chose to center her. Really beautiful. She's stitched with the called for everything else, because I wouldn't dare try to do any substitutions on a Mirablia. I would be lost. I wouldn't know what to do. So she has roughly 27,000 stitches on her altogether. That is a rough estimate because I did have the pattern. It's like huge, right? The paper pattern is huge. I had it scanned and at Office Max or Office Depot, scanned into a PDF. And I uploaded that PDF into Markup RXB because I cannot stitch from paper. If you know me, if you've been here for any amount of time, you know that about me. I'm what we call a PDF princess. So it doesn't play super well with markup. And so there still is, like, I kind of go section by section cleaning it up. And so as I do that, sometimes there are things like squares that are identified as stitches that aren't really stitches and vice versa. And so I'm not really sure how many stitches there truly are. But the cool thing is I have over 7,000 stitches put into her. And every time I pull her out, I just am, she's one that, like, I pull her out and I'm like, oh, I'll work on this for a day or so. And then I end up working on it for like 7 days straight. And then I'm like, I get the ick because I'm so exhausted from, like, it's a little bit harder to stitch on, right? And with the darkness and everything, and the, and then I get the ick and I'm like, I don't touch her for 6 months. So, but she's so beautiful. And I think she's going to be probably one of the more beautiful works of art I create in my lifetime. So obviously she's going to get professionally framed in 10 years when she's done. So I'm at 26%. My goal last year was to get to 25%. I did. So this year, my goal, though, is just to get to 30%. Now, I will probably get a little, well, I shouldn't say that. My goal is to get to 30%, period. Okay. And I started her, when did I start her? I started her on May 31st, 2024. Okay, this one is another beautiful project that I am totally obsessed with. And I think it's with several of these BAPs, I tend to put them off for a little bit because they are kind of overwhelming, like the sheer volume of stitches, and like the fabric is big and there's a lot of flosses to manage. But once I start working on them, I do have a hard time putting them down for a bit. So this one is another one that I'm very in love with. Sorry for the dangling threads. They are what they are. This is Baby Animals. Oh, so cute. Baby Animals by the Blue Flower. This was released at Nashville in 2025, I think, if I remember correctly. And it's the second I saw it, I was like, yes, I will be stitching that. I love the Blue Flower. And this pattern in particular was just very, very compelling to me. It has penguins. It also has sloths, which are my personal favorite. Capybaras, which I think are adorable. I mean, it's just a very fun pattern. It's also humongous. Humongous. Like, huge. It has almost 40,000 stitches. 39,777. It is going to take up this whole fat quarter. I initially started it with just the DMCs. And I started with my sloths because I love them. And I was not super pleased with how it looked. I realized that there were certain, Janine at the Blue Flower does a wonderful job of kind of like very strategically utilizing fancy flosses and variegated or hand-dyed threads. And she does it very, I think, conscientiously. And so that a lot of what she designs, a lot of it is DMC, but the sections she does choose to use the fancy flosses on, it really makes a big impact. And so this was one of those examples where it's a lot of block stitching, right? It's a big block. I think it was almost 1,000 stitches. No, 700 maybe, I can't remember. But I realized that I was doing this project, which was huge and was going to take me a decade probably. I'm doing it a disservice by not doing fancy flosses in certain parts. That said, I didn't really want to purchase new fancy flosses for this project. So what I did was I pulled from stash where I could, where I felt like the substitution was close enough that it would kind of represent the original image. But then I ordered a couple of the fancy flosses, in particular, a couple of the greens, because it does use quite a fair number of greens, and I just didn't really have I didn't have those kinds of shades or colors in my stash. So I did end up ordering a couple of the called for fancy flosses. And, you know, one of the reasons why I was hesitant to do that is like, you know, because this is so big that some of the fancy flosses you need 2 skeins of. And so I was like, and that's fine. Like, it's not a huge deal. But I was like, you know, if I can substitute with DMC or Stash or whatever, that would be great. But in the end, I'm glad I don't regret it. So what this is partially the called for and then partially some Stash conversion substitution. But keeping in mind that I try to stay true to the original color selected. This is how far I've gotten so far. This is being stitched on 40 count Dove linen by Millennial Fabrics. Millennial Fabrics, this is the first time I stitched on Millennial Fabrics. They were at the retreat I went to in the spring, the Stitching Kitten retreat. And I bought several of their fabrics and I really love them. They're very, very fun to stitch on. They are a very nice feeling. The weave is very good. They feel very true, like it feels like 40 count, right? And the modeling is very nice on basically every piece I've purchased from them. The modeling is very nice. It's like, it's there, but it's not overpowering. And I want that in fabric sometimes. I want to be able to have the stitching be the star on this project and not the fabric. I want the fabric to be a beautiful supporting role, and that's exactly what it is. So there is enough variability that it's interesting, but and also the tone of it really matches the rest of the pattern very well. So I am very pleased with how this is turning out. This one has, again, 39,777 stitches on it. I've done a lot of work on this year. I started it in August, on August 11th. I started this as the back to school project for me. I love this in part because it's babies and mamas, right? Like, it's baby animals with their mamas. And my son has started 5th grade this year, and he's just such a big animal kid, like with the penguin, all of it. I just felt like this was the perfect project kind of to commemorate the fact that he's growing up. And so he started 5th grade, his last grade at elementary school last year. And I wanted to do a BAP to school to commemorate it. So my goal is to finish this project by the time my daughter, who is 7 years younger, by the time she starts 5th grade. So that gives me 7 years. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, started in August. I already have 3,500 stitches on this, which is like, and again, I started it, and once I started, I just couldn't put it down. It was so fun to stitch. I think Janine's patterns are very intuitive. They flow very well, and they're just really fun because there's a good bit of like chunky stitching, but there's also some interesting changes and shifts, and I think so, like some of the movement is very organic and intuitive. Like the branches, the way they branch out was very fun to stitch. Now, one challenge I have, and I would love advice if you have any. One challenge I have is that this fabric, the white that is being used for this bird is really, it's just completely ghosting. You see that? Like, you can't even see it, but it's there. I've stitched this bird completely, and you can't see him. I'm not sure what to do. You can see his little babies a little bit. So I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to leave it for now. And then as things unfold, I might go back and maybe just stitch it with Blanc DMC. I might test it like in the margins to see if it would show up better. And maybe I'll just replace it with Blanc. It's unfortunate because it's a really beautiful color. What color is that? I think it's eggshell. Let me find. Oh, this is so many flosses, you guys. Oh my god. Okay. What is that? Toasted Marshmallow, which is a classic Colorworks color. Toasted Marshmallows. It's really pretty, but it's just not showing up. I have all of the threads on these cute little cards. These are by Heidi with the Cottage Cats. Is it Cottage Cat Studio Designs? I'll link it. It's an Etsy shop. She makes amazing floss drops. Like, not only are they precious, hilarious, adorable, quirky, but they're really good quality. I've gotten quite a few sets of floss drops from her over the years. She's also a lovely human. Yay. And then here's all the DMCs. So yeah, I talked about that one for a long time, but I love it so much, right? So I'm at 8.9%. So my goal was to get it to 10%. I didn't. But my goal for next year is to get it to 20%, because I think I can do it. and I'm so close to 10%. That feels like not a very lofty goal. So my goal is to get it to 20%. It's wild. I mean, this thing is so big, you guys. But every little section is its own little moment and it's just so fun to stitch. So fun to stitch. Okay, so this is Little Acorns by Modern Folk Embroidery. I obviously don't have much of a start here. I actually planned to start this New Year's Eve and have it be my New Year's Eve start, but I went to West Virginia. I took my kids to West Virginia to see my family that week between Christmas and New Year's Eve. We were up there for New Year's Eve and I forgot to bring it. So I didn't get to start it when I wanted to start it. But I started it when I got back. Just a couple days ago I started it. There's where we're at, guys. It's really impressive, isn't it? So this one is technically, obviously, a BAP. It has 26,000 stitches on it. It's, like I said, Modern Folk Embroidery. I only have 146 in. I was tired, but I was like, at least I started it. I'm not even at 1% yet. I started on January 8th. It is stitched on 46 count. It's an XJU design linen. Got a little loose in here. XJU Designs linen called Seashell. It's really pretty. It's like a mauve pinkish color. Really, really pretty. And then the floss I'm using is stunning. It is a silk from a special edition silk from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. Another Hand Dyed by Rolanda treasure. And it goes from this beautiful like purpley burgundy through this olive green. It reminds me a lot, like the way it repeats, it reminds me a lot of Cottage Garden Threads. And I was able to cut it in a way, like it's 50 yards. It's a huge, so here's what it looks like before it's cut. I got two back in the summer or whenever that was. I got two. But the way it repeats, I was able to actually cut it kind of like in the middle of this purpley red repeat, and it doesn't really matter which side of the, like which end I start with and finish with, as long as they just all match up. And that's what I love about Cottage Garden Threads, and I was glad I could kind of imitate, kind of replicate that here. And then again, here's what it looks like in this game. It's so gorgeous. I ordered these, again, I ordered two of them, so I have 100 yards, which is a lot, but I ordered, I'm really loving monochromatic, like big monochromatic patterns lately, but I really love monochromatic patterns in a floss that's like kind of variegated. So for visual interest and so that I don't lose my mind from boredom. So I have several like pairs or trios of Hand Dyed by Rolanda because hers are so highly variegated and really beautiful. And I want to use them on like Long Dog samplers and Quakers and Modern Folk embroideries. And like this was, once I saw the 2026 Sal Little Acorns, first of all, I love it. It's honestly probably my favorite design Jacob from Modern Folk Embroidery has ever come out with. It's really big, really big. It's like physically big. But I kind of knew once I saw that this would be a really beautiful floss to use. I already had this gorgeous XJU design fabric in stash, and I was like, there we go. Look at that. It's perfect. It really does look stunning. So again, this is a 46 count. My first time working on 46 count, but I'm liking it so far. Actually, I started another project on 46 count like right before this, so it's technically my second, but whatever. So lighting isn't great, but you can kind of see a little bit of the variegation. It's really beautiful. And I love how dainty the stitches are. It's obviously 1/2 with this beautiful silk. I'm very, very pleased with how it's turning out. I hope you're hanging with me. This is gonna be a long one. This is my next BAP is Anzac, and this is by Long Dog Samplers. Another favorite. Gosh, they're all favorites, y'all. This is Anzac, and I made great progress on this in 2025. I'm so pleased. So this is a pattern by Jules from Long Dog Samplers. Like I mentioned previously, I have a really deep personal connection and love for Australia as well as New Zealand, mostly Australia. But once I got to go to New Zealand, I was like, oh, this is pretty great too. But I had a much more personal connection with Australia over the years. And I love supporting Australian artists and designers and dyers. And I also love Australian themed patterns. It's a really important part of me and who I am, and all that stuff. I wish I could live there. I would live there in a heartbeat if I could. Anyway, I started this on February 22nd, 2025. ANZAC stands for Australians and New Zealanders Adore Cross Stitch. And you'll have already seen the pattern, but it is amazing. It's just a big old jumble of motifs and things representing Australia and New Zealand. And I just love it so much. I am stitching this on a 36 count feldspar linen from Picture This Plus. I'll back it up and show it to you because it is gorgeous. Such a pretty fabric. I do eventually want to get my hands on more of this, but I don't, need it right now or anything. So 36 count, I did ensure that it actually is going to fit. That was kind of nerve-wracking. I started in the middle top and went to that far corner on the right, and that's as far as it's going to go over there. And now I'm working my way over here to make sure if it's over here, I know it's going to. I've already kind of folded it and checked, but that was my biggest concern, was it was gonna, I knew it would fit, but I was afraid it was gonna fit with a really small margin, even though I had measured it and counted the whole thing like several times. I was still a little bit nervous. This one has 29,000 stitches in it. I am at 10%, so I got myself a 10% last year, which I was super excited about. It's being stitched with a sulky 12-weight thread, which is a single ply thread. And it is called eucalyptus, which is so appropriate because eucalyptus is one of the most common plants growing in Australia. It's gorgeous. It's like green, blue, a little bit of purple. I bought a bazillion spools of this, and now basically what I do is I pulled a little bit from each of the spools because they did differ. So basically I'm learning from my friend Jess from Sloan Stitches. Sorry, Jess, I have to call you out on this. She's also stitching a beautiful long dog with sulky, and unfortunately ran out of one of the colors partway through her project, and sulky, the dye lot had changed, and no matter how hard she tried, she could not find a spool of that sulky that matched. So she had to go through a lot of stitching gymnastics to correct the problem. And so I learned from my friends' challenges and struggles, and I bought a bunch of these. None of them match. So what I did was I just pulled, several yards worth from each spool, cut it the same length, and put it all together. So I just pull from this, and so I'm really pulling from like 3 or 4 different spools as I do it, and I don't know which ones are which anymore, and that's cool. That way there's no kind of like obvious delineation from where I go and have to start a new spool. So thanks, Jess, for sharing your woes and reminding me that that's how I should do it. And I'm sorry you had to go through it in the process. Oh, I'm learning from your hard lessons. So my goal for that one is to get it to 20% in 2026. Okay, this one I have a love-hate relationship with. Let's talk about why. This one is my only full coverage. This is Spring in the Shire by Crafty Ninja Digital on Etsy. When I was in New Zealand, so I love Lord of the Rings. When I was in New Zealand, it was like a bucket list thing for me to get to do, was to see Hobbiton in New Zealand when I was there, and I made it happen, and it is like one of my favorite memories of life. So I wanted to commemorate that with this really cool full coverage project that I found on Etsy. Now, I started this February 1st, 2024. I was like a month into stitching again, and really didn't have a whole lot of knowledge or understanding about full coverage. I'd never done full coverage, but also just like Etsy sellers and designers and AI and kind of like what makes a project stitcher friendly. So I kind of jumped in without realizing any of that, and I've learned a lot in the process. Now, I don't know if this is a legit pattern. I don't know if this is, AI generated. I don't know anything about it. So I say all that to say, like, it is a cool pattern. It's going to look awesome when it's done. I don't know if this is like the kind of full coverage project or pattern that I would necessarily recommend, because I don't know if this is how they're supposed to be or if this is an appropriate pattern. I took a pause on it and was like not sure I wanted to continue for that reason, but I do love it and I am going to try to finish it. Along the way, though, I've discovered I really don't love full coverage stitching. I have been using the Royal Rose approach, which is like basically you take like a 10, a 10 stitch by 10 stitch, a 10 stitch across by 20 stitch down block, and you finished all of the stitching, and anything that is left over, you park it either below or to the next to it to keep that thread active for later. I liked the structure of that, especially when I was first starting out. I didn't know what I was doing, and it really helped me like move forward with progress very systematically and easily. But I actually think that I need to rethink that strategy because I don't really enjoy it. Partially because I don't enjoy all these dang threads dangling from this dang piece of fabric all the time. And it means that I have to use this huge nurge because I can't put anything over any of the stitching or any of the fabric where the threads are, right? So I have to use this huge nurge, which kind of hurts my wrist and is not comfortable to stitch in on with my stand because it's too big. So I was actually talking with a couple friends yesterday during a Zoom call, and both of them were explaining how they do full coverage. And I've been watching other people how they do full coverage and just kind of trying to think about what I might want to change about this to get me excited about it again. And I think what I'm going to do is the next time I pull it out, I am going to like work across and finish this row, like a row of, 20 stitches high, right? I'm going to finish that row, but I'm going to finish the thread. Like I'm going to start just taking a thread and finishing it to completion with whatever is near it. I'm not going to use like a rule or a system. That'll clear away all these threads. Yay. And then I can put it on a smaller hoop and focus on clearing out these threads. And then figuring out what, like, if I like that better, if it's more comfortable to stitch on, and if it makes sense to my brain, so that I can keep making progress on this. This was a birthday start for me. This was my first ever birthday start in 2024, because it is so meaningful, like from like a memory perspective. It's really cute. I love it. And I don't yet know if I don't like full coverage or if I don't like this full coverage because I haven't started another full coverage. So after I try to like kind of switch up the way I'm approaching this, I'm going to see if my attitude toward full coverage changes any. And then also I'm considering starting a different full coverage, perhaps one that is a little like that I know is more like legit. Not that I'm saying this is not. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. But maybe one that's, either one that's maybe like an Artsy or there's several other kind of companies that chart artwork into full coverage, and they do it in a way that is like taking stitching into account and not just using a computer and then leaving it, because this is a pretty confetti heavy, and I can't figure out if that's just like standard for full coverage or whether that is just kind of a sign this wasn't really carefully crafted and carefully designed and carefully charted, or thoughtfully charted. So the confetti does drive me nuts too. So anyway, I'm kind of on the fence about full coverage, y'all, but it's really pretty, right? Like it looks good. It is, yes, it's pixelated, but like it looks good from afar. It looks good from the distance at which you're supposed to be viewing it. So I don't necessarily think that it's like AI per se, but I do wonder if maybe, I mean, I could be wrong, I don't know. If maybe just it wasn't, it could have been made simpler with fewer fewer colors and stuff. But that was a lot talking about that, but I've really been thinking about this because I've considered UFOing it or like putting it in timeout for a year and seeing how I feel about it. But it is a birthday stitch. It's very meaningful. I want it on my wall. I want it on my wall. I just don't want to stitch it. So maybe I'm just gonna mix things up, and I will update you. I'll get back to you on how this feels once I'm taking a different approach to it. I do think that might help. Just being able to put it on a smaller hoop will help so much. So, did I tell you anything else about that? It's on an 18 count, easy grid, Ada. It's 2 for 2, which might be part of the problem as well. I wonder if maybe I should have done like or sorry, 2/1. I should have done like 2/1 tent stitch on 18 count or 1/1 full cross. I don't know. These are the things I'm going to learn how to experiment with. I've already got 6,000 stitches into it. It's only got 22,000 stitches altogether, so it's really small for a full coverage, which I like. I'm at 26%. I worked hard to get to that point last year, and this coming year, my goal is to get it to 30% because I don't want to overdo it, and I don't want to set myself up for failure. Oh, this is my other birthday start. I didn't unzip this one, sorry. Now this one, I love. Okay, there's no love-hate relationship with this one. This is Ernestine Briere, 1909, by Reflet de Soie. This is, hands down, the most gorgeous thing I have ever stitched. It is a piece of art, and I absolutely adore it. So for my birthday start, so this was my birthday start in 2025. Let me just show it to you first because it deserves to be gawked at. So pretty, y'all. Like, oh my god, it's like watercolor painting. It's like a watercolor painting. That's what it looks like to me. It's so beautiful. Oh, wow. Okay. I often pull this out and just admire it. Just stare at it and admire it. Okay. So this is Ernestine Briere, 1909, by Reflet de Soie. Hands down, my largest project at over 46,000 stitches. I started this on my birthday last year, January 31st, 2025. It is being stitched on a 20 count cream and sugar Aida from Fiber on a Whim, which is really beautiful. This bad boy is like 320 by 320 stitches or something absolutely insane. Like this part of the pattern is literally like not even done with the corner border. Like not even done with the corner border. I have almost 3,000 stitches in. It's going to take up this whole piece. What? I hope I finish it before I die. It's so pretty. So I decided pretty early on that my birthday starts were going to represent some sort of challenge for me. That they're going to be challenging or new to me in some meaningful way. So for example, the Spring in the Shire full coverage was a full coverage. It was my first ever full coverage. I'd only been stitching again for like a month. I didn't even know full coverage existed. I had just kind of discovered it, and I decided to, I saw that pattern. I was like, okay, I'm going to try full coverage, right? This one was a challenge because of its sheer size. And also, I had been coveting this pattern for a long time. I had seen it. I don't even know where I'd seen it. And I had been like, immediately it goes on my wish list. And then 123 Stitch was sold out of it for a long time. And then they got it back. It was right around my birthday. And it's like, okay, this is it. So this was just by at least almost 7,000 stitches. This was like the biggest pattern I had ever, actually, at the time, let's look at the time, it was almost double the size of my biggest project. So in stitch count. So I just wanted to challenge myself to a project that was that big and that long lasting, right? And I also wanted to stitch 1/1. I wanted to try silks. I had kind of stitched with silks a little bit, but not extensively. I did get the Vicky Clayton silk conversion for this, and oh boy, is it gorgeous. Oh, it's so beautiful. It is just stunning. I really love her silks. It's the Hand Dyed Fibers is her company. They are a really nice texture. They're fluffy, but not like super fluffy. They're very easy to stitch with. They're so easy to stitch with, they fall off the needle sometimes, which I had to learn how to handle. And the colors are just very vivid and beautiful. These are all pretty solid colors. There's not any major variegation, so I actually end up just taking one strand and folding it over. And no, I don't. I'm stitching 1/1. Never mind, ignore me. But you could because it's not highly variegated. So this is a fun one. This is Resistance is Futile. This is my long dog. So it's a long dog sampler. This is my long dog. Wait, Leap Day Long Dog. Leap Day Long Dog. Yeah, LD. Leap Day Long Dog start for the Leap Day Long Dog sale. So I started it on the Leap Day. And the goal is to stitch 25%. every year so that you've completed it by the time it gets to the next leap day, which will be in 2028. So I started this on the leap day, which was, where is it? I can't find it. Oh, there she is. Okay. I started on February 29th, 2024. So pretty. Oh gosh, I love it. It's on a 32 count antique white Lugana. I converted it to a it's meant to be monochromatic, and I was like, I don't think I can do that for 4 years. So I picked out a bunch of Threadworks flosses that I felt like just kind of went together. And it was actually pretty fun because so I knew I couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure out what to stitch this with. I'd only been stitching for a couple months. I did not have any fancy flosses in stash that like would make sense for this. But I was traveling to LA for work, and so I went to a really amazing embroidery shop, no, needlepoint shop there, called Aristea, I think. It's in Santa Monica. I took like a bus. It was so much fun. And I spent like 2 hours picking out some Threadworks. And so these are the colors I picked out. They're just, really pretty kind of muted jewel tones. I love jewel tones. They're definitely my color palette of choice. This navy is very dark, almost looks black a lot of times, and it doesn't really have a ton of visible variegation, just the slightest bit. So I actually stitch it as if it's not variegated, but these do have much more visible variegation in them. So I made a lot of great progress on this year. When I started, so when it hit the 1 year mark, so in 2025, I was not 25% done. Like I was maybe 10% done. I was like, oh crap, I'm really far behind. So I started working on it. I made some great progress. And then what was really the kicker for me was I went to Puerto Rico in July for like 9 days for work. So I had like a work thing for several days, and then I had a couple days like time to kill, and then I had a work thing. And so during that time to kill part, I rented an Airbnb on a coconut farm along the Caribbean Sea, and I just sat there and I sat by the ocean, and I walked back to the room and I stitched, and I went and sat by the ocean, and I walked back to the room and I ate really good food, and it was like 2.5 days of sheer relaxation. And the trick was that for that whole trip, I took this project. I'm usually one of those overpackers. It's like, I'm going to stitch on 10 things in 4 days. And I packed them all. But I literally was like, I couldn't afford to take up that much space in my luggage. So I just told myself, okay, just take one thing. And like the one thing is simple to stitch on, like easy to stitch on in all lighting, in all circumstances, when you're moving, when you're not. And this 32 count antique white Lugana is about as easy as you can pick as far as like stitching goes. Very visible. These colors show up very well on it, and it had been neglected. And I was like, you know what? It deserves some love and some time. So I just took this, and I actually just took the navy and this color here, which corresponds with this band, which I don't think I'd even started yet. Maybe I started a little bit. Like I think I had half of one section done or something. And so I took the navy and I took that, dark pink, and I just said, that's all I'm gonna do. And I stitched this for 9 days straight, and I got so much done. So it was a joy. It was so much fun to be forced to stitch on one thing for a long time, and like to see the progress was so exciting. So I got all of the rest of this done. So like this is the point it looked like when I got it home as far as the pink is concerned. I actually ran out. So I only had taken half the skein because I was like, there's no way I'm going to need the whole skein. So I just took the half. This is what's left over. I left this behind. And then I took the navy and I ran out. I got stitched as far as I could on the pink on this band, and I ran out. And then I said, well, guess what we're going to do? We're going to just work on the border, which I never do. I never am like a border person. So, but I had enough done that I knew I could do the border and trust myself on the counting. So then everything else you see here of progress, which is a lot of it, is border progress. So I stitched this border, I stitched this border, I went down and started working on this border. And I went, that's the top of it. I stitched to the top. I was so proud of myself, and it was so much fun to do. It was so much fun to do. I think it really taught me that like focused monogamous stitching for short periods of time is really fun for me. but once I mean, I noticed that like 7 or 9 days in, I'm like, this time at least, there's nothing else I could do, so I just stuck with it. I was like, if I want to stitch, I'm going to stitch this. I stitched it on the plane. I stitched it in the Airbnb. I stitched it in the hotel after work. I stitched it like a lot. It was so cool. And then I also stitched on it for a weekend in, I think, October or November, and got a lot done. This is what I got done. These colors here are what I got done when I stitched for that weekend in the fall. I think it was November. I did also decide to pull it. So my original plan was just to kind of like pick a color per band and just like hope it looked good. I mean, I was doing it like I don't have a set order in mind. I just wanted to like kind of, you know, alternate cool and warm colors and different color families. And the navy, deciding to break up within the sections, initially I was just going to do the border, like the true border in navy. And then when I was in Puerto Rico, I was at the site. I was like, I think I should do like the whole border or anything that feels like border in navy. And it made me regret that I hadn't done some things down here in navy to like make it match better, but whatever. So now I'm kind of incorporating the navy into each band and into like kind of in an organic way. And then when I was stitching in the fall, I was working on this section. I was like, okay, I'll start this one. I was like, I don't really want to do just one color here. So I went rogue and I decided to just do all the colors there. So I'm just, you know, I don't think they're all going to show up there, but most of them will. So I'm just going to do each little section in a different color. And then the rest of the bands will be mostly monochromatic. And then at the bottom, there's another section I'm going to do in multiple colors that just to kind of balance out this top one. I think it has like 4 different motifs in it, and I'm going to do each one a different color, if I'm remembering correctly. So yeah, I'm really pleased. So now I'm just like feel really good about how far I got in that, because like this is one that's not like, it's not a pattern that I would choose now in my current like stitching era. It's not a pattern that I would have been drawn to necessarily. Again, I'm not necessarily a huge band sampler person. Like just, it's not my favorite long dog, right? But I chose it. And now I'm really starting to kind of appreciate it in a different way now that it's like a little bit more stitched and the colors are coming out. And I've gotten to 40% on this. So I have 12,000 stitches in. It's 30,000 stitches altogether. It looks great, doesn't it? Gosh, it's really pretty. So 30, almost 40%, 39.8%. I've gotten 12,000 stitches done. Now, if you do the math, I should be at 50% by February 28th of this year. I don't know if that's realistic for me. Another 10% by the end of February might be a bit of a stretch. But what I have learned about myself this year while stitching on this is that it does kind of draw me in, and I get pretty hooked on it when I do stitch. And I make some pretty fast progress. It's a fun project to stitch. It's very organic and intuitive, and it's just an easy project. So it's easy stitching. So I'm not going to say I'm not going to get to 50% by the end of February, but I'm saying I'm probably not going to get to 50% by the end of February. But my goal is still to get to 75% by the end of next February, because then I'm going to only have 1 year after that to finish it. And I don't want to get behind for that final year, because I've done such a great job now of like kind of getting myself back on track timeline wise. And I'm starting to really enjoy the way it's turning out and actually like unfolding. And I want to see that kind of progress on it. So that is just what I'm keeping in mind there. Okay, I have 2 more in the BAP category. Okay, this one is the problem child right now. So this is Schwarzwald Quaker. This is an Alforce embroidery pattern that was recently released. And when I saw it released, I was like, oh, it's beautiful. Like, I really loved it. This is how many stitches in this? I can't remember. Let me see. Come on, Abby. Oh, there it is. 25,000 stitches, 25,500 stitches. I've got like 49 stitched on it, but that's okay. I started this the day after Christmas as part of the start along with Sam from Slow Snail Stitching, who I found her channel recently and absolutely adore her and her stitching and everything she talks about, and just, this is great. So I I had kind of wanted to stitch this anyway, and I was like, yep, I'm starting it now. So I started this the day after Christmas, just like she did with her start along. So first of all, let's talk about the fabric. Oh, gosh, the fabric is stunning. This is a Bestitch Me. I was in the Bestitch Me Fabric of the Month Club for like the last maybe 5 or 6 months of 2025. This was my December fabric of the month, and it's called Space Rock. It is a 46 count Bristol linen. It's a fat, it's a quarter, that quarter. And when this came, I was like, well, there she is. That's my Schwarzwald fabric. Like, it is stunning. And so I was really excited to use this fabric for this pattern. I had a harder time, though, figuring out what floss to use. And so initially I used a beautiful hand dyed by Rolanda that I knew I had enough of. Oh, let me see if I can turn the lights on. Wow, that's bright. I'm blind. But I do want to show you the floss. Okay, it's a really pretty hand dyed by Rolanda, and I'm turning that off. I'm blind. That's actually better. It's like it goes from like a green to a dark purple to a blue. Really, really pretty variegation. I've used it on another project. Actually, I'll show it to you. I finished it. I used it on my Cranky Owl. So this is the same floss. Really pretty. But as I was stitching it, it just wasn't quite right. I was like, this isn't working. Like, it's beautiful. Both of these things, the fabric and the floss together, are beautiful. Which way does this go? Like this. And this is not working with this. It's the wrong like tone. Like it almost clashes at times. And the blue is really beautiful and like one of the prettiest colors in that floss, in that variegation, and it really looked weird on this like purpley brown and green. So I paused. I had made a bunch of progress. That's like 300 or 400 stitches. And I was like, oh no, I gotta stop. And then I was like, what do I have that I can use on this project? And then I remembered this. This is Forbidden Fiber Co. It is a special edition floss that I got in my November box. This is supposed to go with my Heartstring Samplery Grateful Praise sampler. Like, this is the fabric they sent, or this is the thread they sent that like Beth from Heartstring Samplery used to design and stitch that pattern. I wasn't going to use it for that. I knew that already, but I forgot I had it. It's perfect. It's basically the same purpley brown that's used in this fabric. I hadn't even put it away yet. It was like in my to be processed bin, and I was kind of just like flipping through that. I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is. There it is. So that, my friends, looks amazing. Looks even better in person. It's just perfect. It's grungy. It like matches the grunge level. It's not quite brown. It's not quite purple. It's variegated, but not like crazily so. And I have enough of it. These are 15-yard skeins, so I have 45 yards altogether. Stitching on a 46 count with 1/2. I mean, we're good. We're golden. So that's what this is. I was like, I tested it, and with this little tiny motif, and I was like, yep, there it is. Now I know what I want to do. And so I did it, and then I put it away because now I have to rip all those stitches out. And that's what's holding me back. I think what I'm going to do to convince my brain to get over its block is just say like, okay, well, I've done this one. I'm going to go over here. I'm just going to stitch this way instead. And I'll just eventually just go leave it there and convince myself to stitch over here. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Very pleased with that change that I've made. And here's the thread. Here's the thread I started with. Beautiful, right? Beautiful. Just not beautiful on that fabric. Okay, my last BAP is actually a Christmas BAP. Oh, great, another dangling thread. This is a Christmas project that I started this year. So this year I did the 12 WIPs of Christmas. My friend Jess from Sloan Stitches did that and it was really inspiring. And so I decided to do it even if I wasn't necessarily on Flosstube talking about it, because I really wanted more Christmas projects and I was really in a Christmas stitching mood. And I had so many projects like partially kitted or at least easy to kit up. I had, the patterns purchased. I had all the needed floss, all of that. So I set out to stitch on 12 projects, Christmas projects in December. A lot of them were new starts, some of them were WIPs, and there was a restart. But I got 10 done. Or, I should say I worked on 10. I made it 10 out of 12, and I'm very happy with that. This is the 12 movie nights of Christmas. This is such a fun pattern. Again, actually, this was inspired by Jess at Sloan Stitches. Sorry, Jess, I'm spamming you like crazy in this video. And this is a really cute pattern. It was a stitch along several years ago that was designed by Atomic Tiki Pins. And you can purchase it on Etsy, I believe is where I got it. I had seen Jess stitching this last year sometime, and I just knew that I wanted to stitch it. So I purchased the pattern and kind of like held on to it. It's a big project, and I was a little intimidated by it. But my family is a huge fan of Christmas movies. My son and I especially, we did a thing this year where we tried to watch a different Christmas movie every night. We didn't do it every night, but we tried. We had a lot of fun. And while we did that, I stitched on this for a few days. So here's where I'm at. It's perfect on this fabric. Perfect. So I got the border done, well, mostly done for like this first little block. This is the Santa Claus block. This is a 36 count linen Winter Solstice by Fabrics by Stephanie. I bought this at the Stitching Kitten. And I bought it initially thinking like, oh, I don't really have any blue like this and I want it. And then I just kind of held on to it and it was kind of precious. I didn't use it. And then I realized it's the perfect fabric for this pattern. It's not going to take up the whole thing. I think it's going to take up about half of it. Yeah, like I think maybe it's a little bit more than half, but I'll have a good bit left over. I'm doing this primarily with the called for DMC. It does call for one of their metallic threads, a gold metallic thread. I didn't have it, and I also just didn't want to stitch with it. Let's be real. And it's a lot of stitches. It's the whole border all the way around is in that metallic. And I was like, I don't know if I want to commit to that. That sounds like not so much fun. So, talking with Jess, actually, I was asking her what she was doing, and she's doing just a regular DMC, but she's like, do you have any etoile? And I was like, I do have some etoile, and I have the right color. It's not perfect. It's not a perfect match, but it is dang close enough. So this is the etoile, which is like I think it's like cotton thread with a little bit of metallic in it. It's much more, it's less torturous to stitch with than the DMC metallics. So I think it looks great. It adds a little bit of shimmer, but it's not a pain. It's not literally painful to stitch with. And it adds just a little bit of shimmer. And I think it's it gives it a little dimension. I'm really pleased with, so thanks for the recommendation, Jess. And I'm really pleased with how it's turning out. So this one has 24,500 stitches in it. I got 876 stitches in a couple of days. It is fun to stitch on. It's pretty like addictive, which is about 3.6%. So I have a good ways to go to get to 10% this year, but I am looking forward to it. It's one of those ones that like I don't necessarily have a desire for it to be done immediately, but I know that every time I pull it out, it's going to be fun and meaningful, and I'm really looking forward to how it unfolds. So now we're at the projects where I'm just trying to get them to 10%. And you know, that is to me like 10% is a really nice benchmark where it's like let's just get to 10% because then it feels like a really solid start to build upon whenever, just checking, whenever I'm in the mood. This is one of my 12 WIPs of Christmas, a new start. This is Reindeer Games. You can't tell, but this is Reindeer Games by Lindy Stitches. It's a really cute little pattern. And I started this as a new project in my 12 WIPs of Christmas. I worked on it. I only worked on this one for a day. This is probably one of the ones I got the least amount of progress on, but there was just a ton going on in my like regular life at that time. And so those particular days, I didn't get a ton of stitching time. So this is Reindeer Games. It's just a start. I also had to rip out, like I got this far and then I had to rip it all out because I made a mistake. And so then I got back to this point and was like, that's enough. I'm good. This is on 18 count Ada by hand dyed by Rolanda in the colorway Willow. It is gorgeous. It's a really beautiful light, like springy, seafoamy green kind of. It's kind of hard to describe. It's really, really pretty in person. I'm definitely not going to need the whole piece. I have a quarter, but Not gonna need it all. I just haven't cut it down yet because I haven't really gotten even far enough to know like where I feel safe cutting it. I'm doing all of the called for DMCs for this project. I am currently only at 3%. It has 5,400 stitches in it altogether, and I have 165 done. I started this one on December 12th, 2025. So that's going to be, I'm excited to work on that throughout the year, especially once Christmas in July comes along. My next one is another 12 WIPs of Christmas start, and this one I got some decent progress on, but it's a big one, so I'm still not at 10%. This is Percy Penguin. I love Percy Penguin. He's amazing. This is a Quaint Rose Needle Arts pattern. He's so cute. Like I said, we have a penguin problem in our house. And so when I saw this one, I knew I had to do it, but I hadn't started it yet. And I took an opportunity during 12 WIPs of Christmas to get it started. So here's where it's at. Is that hanging thread? No, that's actually stitching. Here's where it's at. Looking pretty good. I am doing just like a stash conversion for this one with whatever I have on hand. I had plenty of threads that I thought, or plenty of flosses that I thought would work fine. It is mostly, I think it's all overdyes, if I remember correctly. I can't remember. This is roughly what they are. There's a red in here somewhere too. Where would you be, little red? Oh, there you are. Yeah, there's like a red, really pretty classic color works called Cupid. So yeah, that is my Percy Penguin. It is being stitched on 40 count linen in the colorway Dove by Millennial Fabrics. So this is the same, actually the same colorway that my baby animals is being stitched on, but a very different like saturation and like kind of modeling pattern compared to that one. That one's much more of a beige with this green highlighted kind of, but this is much more of the green is front and center, and it's gorgeous. I think it's going to look really pretty on this. It's not like, you know, maybe the perfect color combination for it, but I think it's going to look awesome. This one has 14,259 stitches in it altogether, so it's a bit beefy. Like that penguin alone, I don't even want to know how many stitches that penguin is. Look at him, he's humongous, but he's cute. So this is, you know, going to be a long-term project. My goal this year, probably during Christmas and July, is just to get him to 10%. This is a project bag that I made. So over winter break this year, I really dove deep into sewing. I'm like very much a novice, but I want to learn how to make project bags. And so that's what my goal was for the break. And I did. This is one of my better ones. This is I used the tutorial by Helen D, East Coast Stitcher. It was fantastic, folks. It's a really great bag, like tutorial and like basic instructions and patterns for a pretty big bag, which is what I wanted. I wanted a couple of big bags. This is my first time adding trim. I felt like I did pretty good there. Learned how to do the zippers. Very proud of myself. I've been sewing a lot, and it's been a lot of fun. Okay, so that one I started on 12/20. I think that might have been my final start from my 12 WIPs of Christmas, if I remember correctly. I'm at 2.8%. I have 400 stitches in it. Okay, this next one is a really fun one that I'm loving. And this is Real Comfort by Modern Folk Embroidery. I started this on December 27th, 2025. This has been one that has been sitting in my pattern stash for a long time. And I have wanted to stitch it for a very, very long time. I just have never really done it. Partially because I wasn't sure how I wanted to go about it, like whether I wanted to make it monochrome, whether I wanted to try to just use a couple of different colors. I just wasn't sure what I wanted to do with it. Every time I've seen this stitched, I have absolutely adored it. I especially really love it on the people who've done kind of like a tonal variation where like the floss is like a darker or deeper or lighter color, very similar to the fabric. I really love that. And so I had to feel like I kind of want to do something like that, but I wasn't sure. Anyway, Jane Austen's 250th birthday was in December of this year. I didn't start it on her birthday because I was doing the 12 WIPs of Christmas, but I told myself I would do it. I would start it by the end of the month in 2025, and I did it. So here it is. Oh, maybe I should show it to you. My needle minder is so cute. Obviously, don't have a ton done. I was still kind of experimenting with threads, the flosses, and how I wanted to do it. I'm still not 100% sure, but I'm getting there. I started this, like I said, on December 27th. It has a total of almost 8,500 stitches in it, and I put 271 in, about 3%. And so what I'm doing, this is just one little corner. This here has to be ripped out. I started the border with this colorway and decided pretty quickly I didn't want to do it. It's hard to see the colorways I'm doing in this lighting and on that fabric, but in person it's very, very obvious. So let me show you what I have in store here. So I was inspired by, so Cottage Garden Threads, again, my favorite thread dyer. They have a couple of different, I think they call them like stitchers palettes or something like that, where it's a really beautiful, highly variegated floss. And then they take different colors from that variegation and they pair it with like the matching color from their lines, right? I love doing this. This is like one of my favorite ways to play with color, is to have kind of this foundational variegated thread and then to play, like kind of experiment with the colors that are reflected in that thread. I'm missing one. Where is it? So this is a stitching palette called Shadows, because that is the colorway of the variegation. So pretty. And then that comes with the 3 different kind of like semi-solids. They're still slightly tonal, but they're more solid. It comes with the 3 that kind of best represent that variegation. And so when I saw this one on the website, I did purchase it. I purchased one other one, and I wasn't sure which one I was going to do, but I had a feeling that I wanted to do that. This is what I wanted to do for my Jane Austen piece, which is the Real Comfort piece. So after a little bit of back and forth and some floss tosses, I decided to go with this purple fabric. It's like kind of a really nice look, like a dusty purple with these threads. Still figuring out exactly how I'm going to play them all out, but this is that variegated thread. It's going to be like that sort of wreath motif, that tree motif all the way around. The border and the letters are going to be in this tonal purple, because again, I love that tone on tone look for this pattern. And then I'm going to do a few motifs, like maybe the houses and some other things, some of the dates and stuff like that in these. It'll be like less front and center. So yeah, that's what I'm doing with that. I'm really excited. I'm excited to get some more work on this. I'm glad I started it. It's being stitched on the October fabric of the month from Bestitch Me, which is Huckleberry. Really pretty muted purple. And I had a 20 count that month. So yeah, I'm really, really pleased. Also pleased. I'm really loving Bestitch Me fabrics. I love stitching with those. And I have kind of a nice variety now because of the being part of the Fabric of the Month Club for a little bit. And then that Friday night fight night where I got a lot more. Also, I got this little Jane Austen charm thing, zipper pull. I forget where I got that from, but okay. So those are the patterns and projects I'm hoping to get to 10%. Now we're going to move on to the projects I'm hoping to get to 25%. And there are quite a few of these. There are 17. So I'm going to go dig them out of the pile, which is definitely getting smaller and smaller, because the pile right here is getting bigger and bigger. It's like a leaning pyramid of project bags now. It'll be fun later. I should take a picture of it later. Gonna go get those from there. All right. So as I was pulling these, I was kind of reflecting, like, I'm feeling like, not like shame, but like maybe a little self-disappointment. Because I do think that this, between 10 and 25%, or maybe between 10 and 50% even, is where my WIPs often languish for a very long time. And I think that's because the newness, like the shininess, has worn off by the time I get to around 10%, right? Maybe a little bit longer. But then it's kind of like, okay, it's not a new WIP anymore. It's not as exciting. I don't get as much dopamine from it. And also the progress tends to feel a little slower, even if I do consistently make it, because I think the extent, like the number of stitches required in it, like how big of a project it is, tends to settle in right around then. I'm like, I've been stitching this for a while. Oh, just kidding. I only at 13%. Okay. So I do think there's a little bit of that here, but it's also really good for me to do this because so many of these projects I was once very, very excited about, and seeing them again makes me feel very excited about them. So, okay. This first one is by Hello from Liz Matthews. I started this on December 2nd, 2025. This was my first 12 WIPs of Christmas start. I did put all of the things I wanted to work on for 12 WIPs of Christmas on a wheel, a decision wheel, and let it decide the order in which I did them. And I was very happy that this one came up first. Doesn't look like much yet. This is Holly Wreath by Hello from Liz Matthews. I have really, and it's a collaboration with Kathy Barrick, her mom. I have really admired this pattern for a while now and have been excited to start it, just hadn't really had an opportunity to do so. So I decided that, there's no time like the present. So I did, and I am really loving it. It was a lot of fun to stitch on. I got a lot done in a very short period of time. It is on 40 count Little Bunny from XJU Design. It's like a kind of a nice little palish, pinkish, neutral. The pattern is like the model stitches on it yellow, but I decided that I didn't really want it on yellow. I wanted it on this like kind of muted rosy pink. So it's on 40 count. There are almost 11,000 stitches in this pattern altogether. Here are some of the flosses that I chose. Really pretty silks. There's Mosaic silks in here. There's, what is SNC? What does that stand for me? I'll think about it in a minute. Vicky Clayton. There's Dinky Dye silk. I will think of the other dyer that I am for some reason right now forgetting that is it's the Thread Gatherer Silken Colors. When I abbreviate that for myself, I say SNC, Silken Colors. I don't know why. And then there's this is another Vicky Clayton silk that I pulled from my Reflet de Soie because there's no way I'm going to need all that. And then this really pretty pale blue from Mosaic silk. I mean, I'm just really, there's also a bunch of just like stuff left in here from my experimenting. So I'm really pleased with how that's turning out. I got a little over 1,000 stitches done on this in 2 days over a break, which is really great. Beginning of December. I still need to like kind of fully kit it and organize it, but oh well. So I'm about almost at 10%. I'm at 9.5%. Okay, let's see what this one is. It's always a surprise, right? Oh, I love this one. Okay. So I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a bunch of threads hanging off this logo. I don't know if y'all have seen Hello from Liz Matthews. She published a design recently through her Patreon, which I have been a member of in the past, and then I haven't been, and I haven't. And when she shared the sneak peek of it, I was like, well, I'm a Patreon member again. And so this was one where I called an audible in the middle of December and was like, I'm taking something off my wheel and adding this one. This is Tis the Season for Needle and Thread. And it is glorious. I think it is so beautiful. And I am just like, I just was tickled when this pattern came out. And so this was definitely more of a like, an impulse start in that like, I didn't have this pattern on my wheel for 12 WIPs of Christmas initially, but as soon as I saw it, I was like, yeah, that has to happen. And so I took something else off and it was worth it. My colors that I selected are a little bit more bold and saturated than what she has selected for her pattern. The colors she chose are beautiful, but they're very, very pastel. And I just felt I wanted something a little bit more like bold and saturated and traditionally Christmassy. And so I picked some flosses from Stash that I thought kind of would work well. And that's how far I've gotten. This has 12,000 stitches in it altogether, a little bit more, and I have 1,000 stitches done, so I'm at 8.5%. And I'm just really excited. That one was a lot of fun to stitch, especially because like this border, it's beefy. There's a lot of stitches in this border, but these stars are exactly like it's just repeating the same pattern over and over, and it's very predictable and very like memorizable. So after the first couple stars, I was able just to keep going and not really have to pay attention to a pattern, which I loved. This next one is also a Christmas, 12 WIPs of Christmas start. Basically what I told myself when I made my 12 WIPs of Christmas wheel is that I would include I held a spot for a Jingle Ball exclusive pattern start because I knew there was going to be something in the Jingle Ball that I wanted to start. and I wanted to like build that in so I could do it. And so that's what I did. This is the Tiny Modernist. It's the Winter Ornaments Mystery Sal. I didn't get very far. That's okay. This is stitched on 18 count Ada from Witch's Garden Crafts. It's a mystery colorway. It's one of her, I got it through her grab bag sale this year. It's really pretty. It's perfect for this pattern. I usually stitch 2/1 with DMC on 18 count, but I stitched 1/1, and I actually really like it because I wanted it to have kind of like a look as if at one point it was very bold and bright, but maybe now it's just a little faded, and it's so cute so far. So that one I started 12/18 to 2025. I'm not sure exactly how many stitches are in there. I'm guessing around 5,000, but I have 519 so far. Also, this needle minder is just the best thing since sliced bread. It says treetops glisten and children listen, and it says to nothing. Children literally don't listen to anything. It felt appropriate. All right, the next one is a beauty. This is Moon Glow from Nora Corbett. This is a pattern I've wanted to start for a long time, and I finally got my hands on it. It's a gorgeous pattern, just gorgeous. So here's where I'm at. Nope, that's not where it goes like this. Sorry. Nope, not like that either. Maybe I should take a break. This is gonna look. This is correct. Yes. Okay, so this is where I'm at. I've had a lot of fun stitching on her. She's very beautiful. I have stitched over 1,000 stitches. No, I've stitched almost 1,000 stitches, like just under 1,000 stitches. And there's about 6,500 stitches in this one. So I'm at about like 15%-ish. And just want to get to 25% this year if I can. Maybe I'll get more, maybe I'll get less, but that's the goal. I actually bought this pattern. Stephanie from CrossStitch the Globe did a D-stash. And I actually, so her Moon Glow, like when she stitched it, was what convinced me I wanted to stitch it. It was beautiful. She stitched on a really vibrant fabric, and I loved following along as she stitched it. And it's what convinced me. And then she was destashing some things, and I bought some things off of her for that. And I was like, any chance you're like gonna sell your Moon Glow pattern? And she's like, actually, yes, I will. So I got it from her, which feels even more special, right? Because like she was the inspiration behind this project in the first place, and then I get to use her version of the pattern. Okay, this is another Nora Corbett. This is one of her Patreon patterns, but you don't have to be a Patreon member to buy it. You can just log onto Patreon and purchase it through her Patreon store. And it is one of her Christmas trees. She has a couple of beautiful Christmas trees. One is a Klimt inspired Christmas tree, and this one is a Van Gogh inspired Christmas tree. I think it's called Starry Starry Christmas Eve, maybe. I just call it Van Gogh Christmas tree. This one I did start at the Queen City Stitch Retreat. I planned to start it at the Queen City Stitch Retreat. It was a plan. I had already purchased the pattern online. It's a PDF, which is nice. Nora Corbett patterns are usually only available in paper. So it's available in PDF. I'd already purchased it, and I had pre-ordered the floss and embellishment pack from the vendor who was there at the retreat. She kind of like said, hey, if anyone needs anything, let me know. I'll pack it up for you ahead of time. So I'd pre-ordered it and got it while I was there. And then it was a matter of finding the perfect fabric, which I did, I think. It's like this cool, like lemon lime greenish, I don't know what color this is. It's a yellow of some sort. But it's a yellow with a pretty strong hue of green, like a tint of green. It's really pretty. And it is a 32 count linen by Amy and Oak Crown Studios. And it's called Marjorie Gertrude 1907. I'm assuming that refers to like maybe a pattern it was dyed for or something. And so here are the Karen water lilies that go with it. There's several DMCs as well. And then here's the embellishment pack that I was able to get. So yeah, I'm really excited. Like it's very beautiful. I love Van Gogh. As soon as I saw this pattern, I was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna want to stitch that. So it was a fun start to do at Queen City Stitch Retreat. It has, let's see here, it has about 7,500 stitches in it altogether, and I have 1,300 done, so I'm at about 18%. I got almost all of that stitching done at the retreat, which is pretty cool. I was moving right along, even though I was talking and visiting and having fun, it was a fun one to stitch. It's very intuitive and like very easy to stitch, especially from PDF. All right, now this one is Under the Full Moon, and this is the was the exclusive pattern released by, or at least an exclusive pattern released by Stitch Crypt at the Harvest Moon Hangout, which was September, I think. One of Lindy Stitch's online virtual retreats. I was in the thick of owl stitching. The Gonna Be All Right Sal was inspiring me to do owls, and I loved this pattern when it came out. So I started this during the Harvest Moon Hangout. I haven't touched it since, so that's probably why. But believe it or not, that's an owl foot and an owl belly. This one is super fun to stitch. It is like, I especially love it on this fabric. So this fabric is Magical Gray. It says Zweigart linen, 36 count. It's actually the first linen I ever stitched on was this, and this is the remaining half of that fat quarter. And the pattern calls for a similar gray by Zweigart, but I didn't have it, but I knew I had this one and it would be absolutely perfect for it, and it is. It like colors glow on it. It's a fascinating gray because it's really dark and like chocolatey gray in person, but like stuff still shows up really well on it. It's wild. So that was really fun to start and stitch on during Harvest Moon Hangout. That one has 7,500 stitches as well. I have a little under 1,000 done, so I'm about 12% done with that one. This is my project for the Stitching Connection, which is hosted by Jason at Jason CrossStitches or JEDxStitches, who, if you've never watched his channel, you are missing out. So go scurry, stop now, stop watching me, and go watch Jason. He came up with this amazing idea, and he's hosting this like international like round robin program system. And he basically, people could sign up for it. He like put them together in groups of 4 and then sent them on their way and said, hey, have fun stitching together. And we all are doing, I'm actually in 2 groups now. A group needed a 4th person, and I volunteered. I volunteered to distribute. And this is one of my groups. That's one of those groups. So it's been super fun. Basically, I'm going to stitch as much as like 25% on this pattern, and then I'm going to send it to the next person while someone else sends their project to me. This is The River by Modern Folk Embroidery. This pattern is gorgeous. I love the sentiment. It says like the river that flows in you also flows in me, I think, which feels perfect for like communal stitching, and it's just really lovely. I am enjoying stitching on it as well. So this is stitched on 18 count Ada by Banana Oil Fabrics. It's not named. It's just a number. It's like a purpley gray color. It's modeled, but very subtly. It's very, very pretty. It's kind of perfect for a busy pattern because it's got some variation, but not a ton. And it's very like, almost like a wash of color, not like modeling per se. So what I'm doing for this is I am using a hand dyed by Rolanda special edition cotton. It's gorgeous. You can see all the variegation there. It's really pretty. It's all the same colorway. So the frame, the vase in the middle, those are all in that color. And I'll show it to you real quick. It's really pretty. And then what I'm doing is everyone is going to stitch a different section of it once I get the border, like the frame done, and a couple of other things. This is the colorway. Isn't it pretty? So beautiful. Oh my gosh, in person it's even more vibrant, believe it or not. So then what I did was I picked out, you can see a pattern, a trend here, folks. I picked out some colors of, over-dyed cottons that I had that felt like they really nicely kind of like reflected those different colors that were being used. Oh, here's the yellow too. These different colors that are being used, right, throughout this. They just pull from it, right? They are inspired. They have the same kind of tone or whatever. They just kind of match. And so everyone in my group is going to stitch one of the, so I stitched one here, I'm going to stitch one over here, but then there's 3 other like clusters of flowers. So everyone's going to stitch their own cluster of flowers. They get to pick either from this thing of colors, or if they have their own that they like, that they think goes well, they can pick that. And then they're going to put their initials next to it as well. And then they're also going to stitch one of the bands. And I am taking out the alphabet. I'm just not a huge alphabet person, generally speaking. And I just like the way this looks. I've actually seen it with the alphabet omitted. It's really nicely balanced. I like it a lot. So that one I'm trying to get to 25%. I am currently at 16%. It has a little over 8,000 stitches in it altogether. I want to get this one to 25%, like hopefully by March. I know that like that particular connection group is pretty like nonchalant and laid back about the timeline that we're all like, my project with only 8,000 stitches is by far the smallest. Like everyone else picked really big projects, which is really fun, and I'm excited to stitch on them. But I don't want to hold anyone up or anything, and they're all just kind of like, yeah, well, we'll switch when we're ready. But I would like to get it done so I don't have to think about it and I don't have to scramble at any point. And also just because it's really pretty, and I want to make sure like all the colors are working together and stuff. Okay, this one is Women Belong in All Places. This is a Ruth Bader Ginsburg quote. And it says, women belong in all places where decisions are being made. And I love that quote. And this is how it's done so far. This is part of her descent collar. I'm stitching this with this beautiful thread from Pirate Robin called Black Dahlia. It's like a black and like a very deep wine color. It's super fun to stitch. You can see it here. Very nice variegation. This is a pattern that I got off Etsy. Let me figure out. It's the designer's called So You Like to Stitch on Etsy. I started this on October 15th, 2024. So this one's like been this one's like, for the number of stitches, it's kind of embarrassing how little is done. It's got 6,400 stitches altogether. I'm at 814 completed, so about 12%. And I'm stitching this on 32 count Bashful, Crystal Bashful. So Lugana. So this is Picture This Plus. The colorway is Bashful. It's a Lugana, but it's also opal, which is what makes it crystal. So there's a little bit of shimmer in there. You're looking at the back. But hey, look at my back, y'all. I'm getting pretty good. Not that I care. This one actually probably does matter a little bit because that thread is so dark compared to them. So I have a fat 8 of that. I want to put this up in my office as well. So I want to get it done, but I don't want to stitch on it. One of the reasons why that one was really held up is in my first 100 stitches on it, I made a mistake and didn't realize it. And then I got further along, and then the mistake became very apparent and problematic. And so I had to rip back like to almost the beginning and rip it out and redo it. And I was so annoyed, and I put it off for months, and I finally did it and then made some progress. This one is Ladybird. This is another one that, so this is one that I have not really stitched on. I don't know if I enjoy stitching on it yet. It is in the short list for being put in timeout or UFO'd. I am not sure yet. I'm going to give it another stitching session or two and then decide what I want to do. This is a Carolyn Manning. It's really beautiful. It is stitched with all the called for threads on this really pretty 32 count Burning Woods Crackling Fire, which was a Fabric of the Month linen from Fiberlicious Yummy Fibers back in like 2024, I think. Really, really gorgeous. I have another half that I'm just basically hoarding like a dragon. Eventually I will find something I want to do with it. Really beautiful, right? And it's just really pretty. I think part of my hesitation is I don't love the way this thread, this floss here is, like, I don't love the variegation in it. It's much more distinct variegation in my skein than it is in the like model stitch. And it's called Apple Fritter. It's gorgeous. It's just, it ends up looking kind of stripy, and it's not my favorite. So I've been struggling a little bit with that. But that's why I've been like, okay, Abby, just like put some more in there and see if you don't notice it as much once all the other colors are surrounding it and are vibrant around it. So I'm committing to getting to 25% on this year, and then I can decide whether I want to keep going or not. This one has 11,000 stitches, a little bit more altogether. I have 1,200 stitches done. I'm at 10%. I did manage to get to 10% this year, which I was proud of. The colorway, so beautiful, so beautiful. So hopefully you'll get to see a little bit more of that progress, and hopefully I can kind of I'll have a clearer sense of how I feel about it. Here's my study of nature. This is by the Artsy Housewife. Isn't that pretty? It's gorgeous. So this is my study of nature, or study in nature. Artsy Housewife. It's on the called for fabric, which is Weeks Dye Works Aztec Red. It's a different count. It called for 40 count, and I have a 36 count, so that's what I used. I did get all of the called for dinky dyes, and I'm loving those. This is one of those patterns that I loved. I really loved it. A lot of people worked on it over like 24-ish, I think. And I knew I wanted to do it eventually. And then I bought the pattern and everything. I sat on it for a while. Then I realized I had the fabric in stash, which is like, apparently this fabric was really hard to get a hold of for a while because this pattern was so popular. I had it in stash. I just bought it on a whim at my local needle workshop and had it sitting there, and I didn't know what to do with it. And I was like, oh wait, that's the fabric. So then at that point I was like, okay, it's time to do it. And so I went and I kitted it up with the dinky dye silks. Also purchased at my LNS, and I've been making little bits of progress here and there on it. I started this one on January 11th, 2025. It has a little over 12,000 stitches in it altogether, and I'm almost to 2,000 stitches, which is about 15, I'm almost 16%. I have put a little bit of stitching into this already this year. I put 100 stitches in earlier this weekend as part of an event being hosted through the WIP Warriors group. This one here is Fantastical Greenhouse. This is a mystery SAL that was designed by Tiny Modernist. Love me some Tiny Modernist. It's super cute. It's also very stitch heavy. Like, I'm always blown away by Tiny Modernist. Her mystery SALs are so many stitches, and you don't realize it. Like, I know now. Like, there's going to be a lot of stitches at you. Like, just only do it if you really want to. And I love it. I love the pattern. I love the way it's turned out. But it is a lot of stitching, and but I'm gonna keep chipping away at it. I've worked on it a little bit already this year. Put in some white stitches in the unicorn. This is stitched on 36 count Nessie by Picture This Plus. With all of the called for DMCs, I'm stitching them 2/2, and I love how it looks. It's very like juicy, very juicy stitches. Really cute. And this is just one of those that I'm gonna just slowly pick away at. I have no particular like emotional connection to it, no reason, I'm just enjoying it. Here are the DMCs, my floss cards. These are more of Heidi's floss cards from Cottage Cat Studio. They're so cute, very whimsical. This bag is from Garden Grove Stitchery on Etsy, and I got this little thing at like maybe Joann's when they were going out of business. I can't remember. I think it was Joann's. All right, so this one here is, oh wait, I didn't tell you anything else about that one. Fantastical Greenhouse has over 15,000 stitches in it, and I've only done 2,400. So I'm about 16% again. All right, this one here is I Am a Custodian. This is designed by Katie Landis of the Black Needle Society. This is part of their Downton Abbey retreat in a box that they've been hosting. So they hosted one last year. That was the first one. They're hosting another one this year, and I've already ordered it. I'm participating again. And what's cool about it is that the year one pattern can stand on its own, and then all of the other years will build out around it. So like if you at any point just want to stop, you can, or you can kind of continue to build with following years. So I love that about it. So here's where I'm at. This is stitched on a 16 count. Yes, 16 count Ada by the JEDxStitch on Etsy. It's like a digitally printed fabric. It's called Oyster. It's really nice, very subtle, perfect for this project. Here's what the stitching looks like. Really pretty. I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan. I've watched it more times than I can count at this point. And so I obviously didn't, I'm not going to keep up with the schedule. This is not going to happen. But I'm going to try to continue on working on it. And I've worked on it a little bit already this year. So far it has, like year one had 8,000 stitches, and I have a little over 1,000 done. So I'm like at, I don't know, 12% or so. Oh, this one's fun, y'all. First of all, can we just admire this fabric? Oh my God, look at that. One more time. More gawking needed. This fabric is oh my God, it was such a great find. This is a spoon flower fabric, I think. I obviously have a beagle who you've seen a couple times now. And this pattern is called On the Naughty List. It's by Silver Creek Samplers. And I started this project last year. When did I start? I started it July 5th, 2025. The pattern was an exclusive pattern for the Black Needle Society from the previous like Advent box. And I purchased it from the vault in the Black Needle Society. And because it has a beagle on it. And it's about beagles being naughty, which is basically the only way beagles know to be. So, but I did start it on a different fabric, and it wasn't working. And I got like probably 1,000 stitches in, and I was like, I can't do this. It's not working. It's not going to look good. So I vowed to restart it in December as part of my 12 whips of Christmas, and I did, and I'm much happier with how it's looking so far. This is on I think I have the card in here. Hold on. Yes. It's on a 36 count linen called Neptune from Millennial Fabrics. Another Millennial Fabrics. I adore it. It's so beautiful. Look at that. Gorgeous. I think I'm only going to use this half of the fat 1/8. I am doing my own Ruskin version out of stash. I'm really liking the way it's looking on this blue. It was on a dark gray, almost black before, and the green, no matter what green I picked, could not show up. And this looks really nice. So I have gotten it to, just in December of this year, I got 1,125 stitches on it. So I got further than I was before, which felt really good. Restarted it and got further than I was before. And altogether, it has a little over 8,000 stitches on it. So I'm at 13.5%. So this will be a fun one. I am going to rechart the beagle to look like my Menace, who's outside barking at the door currently. I'm going to let her in so she'll stop. I'm going to rechart it to look like her, because how can I not? But just one more time, let's just admire this amazing fabric. Isn't that so cute? My son loved it. Lily is very much his dog. They are bonded. They're a bonded pair. I'll be back. All right, this one is, I'm not sure if you all have seen this one yet. This is a pattern I am stitching from this very vintage book. So for those of you who don't know, my partner went to Clemson, his dad went to Clemson, his sister went to Clemson. They have a home up near Clemson. They have season tickets for the last however many decades. They're pretty diehard Clemson. And Eli from Thick Threads, one day out of the blue, reached out to me and was like, hey, you don't know me, but like, I found this pattern book on one of the resale sites. And I was like, I don't know you, but I'm so grateful. He's just great. Eli's amazing. And so I ran off to buy it. I got it for like $10, and it was published in, wait for it, 1980. It's all Clemson patterns. It's all hand-drawn Clemson patterns. And I love it so much. I'm going to flash the pattern at you because there's no way you're going to be able to stitch it from this, but this is basically what it looks like. Boop. And this is a picture of Tillman Hall, which is like the big like clock tower building on Clemson's campus that really is like the imagery of, like, when you think of Clemson campus, like a lot of the artwork or imagery is this building. So I have been working on this. It's not my favorite thing to stitch, but I'm doing it. Hopefully we'll eventually give it to his parents as a gift. We'll see. That's the plan. So it's a plan for Aaron's parents for probably Christmas in the next couple years. It's very easy to stitch. It's just I had to scan it, upload it, and all of the hand-drawn symbols can be a little tricky in markup, but it's fine. Everything's going great. It has 6,156 stitches in it. I have over 1,100 done. I'm at 20% or 19%, almost 20. So I am very pleased with how that's coming along. It's just DMCs, all these old DMCs from the 80s. Well, you know, the colorways are from the 80s. So that one is one that I just work on every once in a while. Not like super compelled to do it, but I still do it because I eventually need to get it done. All right. This here is the Twigs and Tea Sow. by Fine Frog Stitching. I love Fine Frog Stitching patterns. She's a genius. But I have that problem where I just can't keep up with a Sal, and I don't expect myself to anymore. I don't consider it I don't expect myself to do it in the first place. But I have done one of her styles before. I would like to do another one now. I would love to do the plants in petrichor eventually. I have the fabric for it. Do I have the pattern? I can't remember. And then this one is the one that she hosted this past fall. And I didn't get very far before I gave up, but that's okay. This is the Called For fabric by Witch's Garden Crafts. What is it called? It is called Tea Time, appropriately. It's a 16 count Aida by Witch's Garden Crafts, who I adore, love their dyeing, love their fabrics. And I started this August 10th, and I didn't get very far. I got 852 stitches in. Altogether, the whole pattern has over 8,000. So I'm at like 10%. I will be picking, like, kind of chipping away at this over the year. I don't have any particular like rush to do it. I love how it turned out, so I'm very pleased, and just need to, like, spend some time on it. So my goal, again, get to 25%. Oh, this is one of my favorites. Okay, so this is something I started like when I was recovering from my surgery, still very much in like acute recovery phase and bored out of my skull. And I decided to stitch a purple sampler, a purple rainbow sampler for my daughter in honor of her obsession with purple rainbows. Don't ask me why. Purple rainbows are her favorite color. Well, purple and rainbows is what she says. And I decided to start a modern folk embroidery. It's the Little Bird Quaker sampler on this gorgeous fabric, again by Witch's Garden Crafts. This is Unicorn Aida, and it's this beautiful like starburst effect. Love it so much. It's purple with a little bit of teal, like a light teal. And what I decided to do is just play around with all kinds of different purple flosses and make most of the motifs a different color. And then I'm doing the alphabet. I'm cutting it down a little bit. I am doing the alphabet, and I'm doing it in a rainbow color. So I'll show it to you close. Now, at the beginning, I really only had a couple of purple flosses, and so I did like order a lot of them during this time period. Now I have many more, but it's been fun because I've gotten to try some new dyers, and that's been really neat. So I'm gonna take some of these out. Like this one, you can hardly see; it's just not right. I just happen to have that one in stash. Same thing goes for this one, right? I know now that I've done them and seen them, I really need them to be a much more darker, more saturated, vibrant purple in order to show up. And then the alphabet is done with this Cottage Garden thread, rainbowy color, beautiful. So here's what I've got, kind of like a pile of purple threads. I've got that pretty rainbow, what is it called? Sprinkles by Cottage Garden Threads. And the rest are just like all these different purples that I got that I'm going to experiment with. All kinds of different dyers on Etsy, major dyers like, Classic Colorworks, Cottage Garden Threads, and then some smaller batch dyers, as well as like Pirate and Robin, love their purples. The really cute thing about, my daughter loves birds too. This is just kind of the perfect sampler for her. She's just hilarious and amazing, and she's just a funny girl. She's a very funny, vibrant, joy-filled child. She's also humbling me every day. But she loves birds, and this pattern has a bunch of birds all through it. And so what I'm going to do is all of the birds are going to be one color. I think probably like the most purple that I have on hand is what they're going to be. So all of the birds will be the same color throughout. And I'm hoping that will give it a little bit more cohesion in what will otherwise be chaos. Sheer chaos. And I'm okay with it. Darby loves it. She keeps asking me about her purple thing, her purple, what do you call it? My purple stitching or my purple sewing or something like that. So yeah, oh my God, I'm gonna kill my dog. Okay, she has been kenneled. I'm gonna see how that goes. She doesn't usually bark this much. I think it's because I'm talking as if I were talking to someone, and it's like kind of throwing her off a little bit. Just to wrap up our discussion of the Little Bird Quaker sampler, that one has almost 17,500 stitches in it total. It's a big one. I have done 2,325 so far, so I'm about 13%, and my goal is to get it, as you know, to 25% this year. All right, now we're done with the 25% benchmark, and all we have left is the 50% and 75%. Good news is there's only eight, I think, of these. So I'm going to pull those now, and we will wrap up, and you will get to go on with your lives after spending however many hours with me. If you're still here, gosh, I love you. Thanks. Hold, please. So, oh wait, this is actually one that I want to get to 25%, so good thing I picked it up first. This is another start from the 12 Whips of Christmas. Absolutely gorgeous. This is the Merry Christmas and Happy New Year pattern from Modern Folk Embroidery. You might notice I am definitely on a Modern Folk Embroidery era, which I love. Here is what this looks like. It is so stunning. Oh, there you go. You can really see it. So stunning. God, it's gorgeous. This one I started on December 5th. I started this during Jingle Ball. It is stitched on a 36 count linen from Banana Oil Fabrics. Another beautiful, lightly modeled, beautiful kind of like a hunter, it's a green, a little bit of blue, spruce green. I would call this a spruce green. And this is being stitched with Yule from Cottage Garden Threads, which is gorgeous. And I was really worried about it ghosting, but you know, as you can see, it's really good on this fabric. This one has a little under 6,000 stitches in altogether, and I have 1,045 stitches in it, so I'm at 17.8%. So that shouldn't take me too long to get up to 25%. I likely will see this come out at Christmas in July, and then again in December, if not more. Another Christmas project, this one I worked on was already a WIP. I started this in November 2024. This is Festive Forest by The Blue Flower. This was the pattern that was part of her class in Jingle Ball 2024. 2024. Sorry. It's a really cool finish. I'm very excited to try it. It's a lot of stitching, folks. A lot of stitching. It's really pretty. It's really pretty. Look at that. This is stitched on 32 count linen called Cypress from Fiber on a Whim. Fiber on a Whim. It's a pretty like muted green. I got the kit, so I got the fabric. I got all of the flosses, which are like combination of Roxy Floss Co, which I adore now, and some Cottage Garden threads and some Weeks Dye Works, and then I also had some DMCs. So it's all the called for flosses. It's 11,568 stitches altogether, a lot of stitches, and I'm at 4,000 now. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think I added like 1,000 stitches when I was stitching on it this winter. So I'm at like 35% basically. And so that'll be fun to continue to make some progress on. I don't expect to finish it this year, but I am looking forward to when I do finish it so that I can do that fun full, like the way she finished it. It's just really creative and unique, and I'm excited about that. Here's another project bag I made. Cute little fabric. I'm learning. This one is another Christmas WIP that I actually started this one during Christmas in July. This is Christmas Parade by Cottage Garden Samplings. This is on 18 count Haunted Ada. It's called Haunted from Picture This Plus. Beautiful, beautiful, like again, kind of a spruce green. And I am stitching it with all the called fors. Whoa, all the called fors. This is actually, I started this in July. I had won, my friend Jess from Sloan Stitches did a little giveaway on her channel, and she was like, you know, I'll pick something from your 1, 2, 3 stitch wish list. And this had been on there for a while, or I'd been wanting to stitch it for a while. And she chose this one, and she sent me the pattern as well as all the flosses for it. How cool is that? So I started it back in July. It has 9,000 and some stitches altogether. I have 2,800 done, so I'm at 31%. And I made some good progress on this year. I mean, I should say in my 12 whips of Christmas, I made some good progress. Like I put the squirrel in, I did all this, and then I kind of strategically save his fill-in, all the Santa fill-in. I strategically save this for when I need fill-in stitching. So like sometimes for, you know, sports events or practices, if I'm going to be there and I know I'm going to need, or when I'm traveling, I just am like, I need fill-in where I don't need to use the pattern. And so I set it up to be just that. And so I'll make little bits of progress throughout the year on that for that reason. This one here is a pattern I have a love-hate relationship with. Initially, I told myself I just need to finish it this year so I could stop worrying about it, but it's okay. This is Springtime Sip and Stitch. It is a pattern by Counting Puddles. It came as an exclusive pattern in a Black Needle Society box along with this fabric. I started this in April 26, 2025. I'm about 41% done. I'm making great progress on this. It has a little over 5,000 stitches altogether. The problem I have with this is I did a floss conversion from Stash, and I don't love it. I'm just gonna be frank. I don't love my conversion. It's really hard to see what's going on. Like this top part looks awesome. The mug looks okay. It's hard to see what's going on here. I do recognize, however, that there are going to be, in like true Counting Puddles form, there's a ton of like really fun decorative stitches. They're going to go over this and are likely going to give it some interesting definition. And I've been telling myself I just need to be patient and like get the stitching done so I can add those decorative elements and see how I feel about it then. But I worked on it really hard for a while, and then I got kind of like, I don't know if I like it, and then I paused. But my goal is to get to 50%. I'm at 41%, like I said. This is stitched on, oh crap, it's an Ada. I think it's Forbidden Fiber Co. I can't remember. It was part of that. It was part of the box, I'm pretty sure. So it was like dyed especially for that. And I used wow, y'all, this is crazy. I used I have a bunch of Dinky Dyes like mini skeins that I got. Like they sell little sets of mini skeins for really cheap, and I got a bunch of them last year. And so I have so many great colors, and that's why I wanted to use them, but I didn't, you know, they weren't all perfect. And so therefore there's definitely some things happening with this pattern that don't look like they're supposed to be happening. Next is an ode to libraries. Love, love, love this pattern. God, it's gorgeous. Hanging thread, obviously, whatever. So this is an ode to libraries. This is a Heartstring Samplery pattern. This was released at Nashville in 2025, but I had actually purchased it in like December, the previous December, because it was originally part of a Black Needle Society box. So it was exclusive to them for a certain amount of time. And I actually purchased the paper pattern from the vault, like their vault, which is where they sell like parts of their boxes that are left over. I loved it so much, and I was so thrilled to see that she had released it at Nashville, and it's been so much fun to see people working on it. I do know Jess from Sloan Stitches is working on this. We kind of have been, we're both just stitching it. We're not doing it like together per se, but it's really beautiful. I am doing, I did just a stash conversion with overdyes, and I'm pretty happy with how they've turned out. They're a little bit bolder and like brighter than the called for, but I think it looks really good on this fabric. This is 40 count Valor linen from Picture This Plus, which is absolutely stunning. It's such a gorgeous fabric. I only have a fat eighth of it, and that's what this is. Sorry, yes, fat eighth. But eventually, I would like to buy like a full fat quarter and be able to use it for something else. It's really pretty. So the colors are turning out nicely. I'm just very pleased. I enjoy stitching this. I haven't worked on it in a while, but it's fun to work on. I am at 42% on this one. It has 8,311 stitches altogether, and I've stitched over 3,500 stitches. So this one here, another one that I kind of have a love-hate relationship with. You'll notice that the ones that I tend to like have second, when I do a stash conversion, it either works really well and I love it, or it doesn't, and I'm like, oh no, I don't want to work on it because I'm not sure how it looks. But This is one of those. This is the Unicorn's Garden, which is a gorgeous pattern. It's by Sprouting Lupine. It is on 18 count Haunted, which is an Ada by Picture This Plus. So pretty. And it has almost 11,000 stitches in it, and I have almost 28. I have a little over 2,800 done. So I'm at 40%. Nope, 26%. So I did do a stash convert, like the fabric was different enough from the called for fabric that I needed to change up some of the greens especially. And so I tried to use some like greens from stash, both like hand dyed, over dyed, as well as the DMCs that were called for. And so there's some that I just regret, like this one, for example. This is a beautiful Pirate Robin, and it's just not working. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't even see it. But like this one, it's a substitution, a DMC substitution, works perfect, right? Like some of them look good, and then that one really doesn't. So I'm not sure what to do about that one. Unfortunately, the point I'm at in the pattern is about to utilize this thread a lot, and which is kind of why I don't work on this, because I don't know what to do. It's called Tide Pool. It's so pretty. It just doesn't work on this fabric. So maybe what I'll do is I'll actually just kind of go through my stash again now. I started this in September 2024, so like well over a year ago. I didn't have a huge stash of flosses at that time, DMC or otherwise. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go through my current stash as it stands, which is obviously a lot more variable, and I have a lot more options. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'll go through it and find a different color to replace this one with. I'll do the rest of them are fine. I'm gonna let it be. I will just replace that color because that is like all of the leaves up here in the tree, which is basically where I'm at, right? Like I'm at the top of the tree almost, and I need to just do all those leaves, but I'm holding back because I don't think it looks good. Maybe that will get me unstuck too, and make me have a little bit more positive association with this project, because it's really fun to stitch on. It's just I am not convinced I did the right thing. So now we are at, I think we just have 2 patterns left. Is that, no, come on, is that true? No, we have 3. So I'll do this one first. This is my Harry Potter sampler. This is a design that I bought off Etsy. It's by JEDxStitch. But I will say this is probably the best designed pattern I've bought from an Etsy seller ever. It is amazing. It is so detailed, so beautiful. Like, look at that. I get so excited every time I pull this out. So it's super fun. And I made some pretty significant progress on this last year. I started this on March 4th, 2024. It's on 32 count vintage smoky white by Zweigart. This is a big old piece. I think I've made it to the one corner. Yeah, I have like the top right corner done, I think, over here. And I made it, I got 3,000 stitches on it last year, if I remember correctly. It has 14,000 stitches, a little over altogether, and I've done 5,553. And so I'm at almost 40%. It's just so much fun to stitch on. I actually have already pulled this out this year, and I started working on another motif right there. Put 100 stitches in. This one has an inordinate amount of back stitching. So like if you look at this one right here, this is the first motif I did, and it has all that back stitching, which is amazing. It looks gorgeous. And however, I realized very quickly, like if I'm going to be working on this for a couple of years, I don't really want that back stitching just like hanging out, because I use nerd hoops, which can be a little bit rough on back stitches. So for now, then I'm pausing. I'm not doing any of the back stitching. But like if you can imagine how much that's going to enhance these motifs, like it's going to be wild. So right now it looks a little more blobby than it will at the end. It is a very, very beautifully and thoughtfully designed pattern. The amount of detail is just gorgeous. And it's basically just uses like every brown and tan in the DMC line. Let's see if I can find them. It is so many flosses, and they are all brown and yellow and tan. Oh my god, I'm sorry. Wow, I look really chaotic. But look at all that. So many flosses. and so many browns. But the end product is just gorgeous. So that one shouldn't be too bad to get to 50%. And now I'm at my 275% projects. These are projects that are more than 50%, and I want to get them to 75. So this first one is my temperature stitch, whatever you want to call it, from 2024. I started this January 30th, 2024. I had just kind of gotten back into stitching again, and I thought it was really cute. It's these little mason jars that are like jelly jars, and each row is a different day of 2024. So I've gotten all the way through July, all the days of July, and many of the days of August 2024. It's really cute. It's not like, I don't love it anymore, right? Like, this is not something I would choose to stitch now, for like both from a style perspective and also just knowing myself better. Like, it's not super exciting for me to stitch this. The really great thing about this pattern, and this is why I'm continuing and keeping it in my WIP list, and I'm going to continue to work on it, it is the perfect thing to stitch when you're sitting at a child's baseball game or basketball game or practice or whatever. This is my sideline stitching, and it has been from literally from 2024 on. I've stitched on it almost exclusively sitting on the sidelines of my son's practices and games. So I haven't stitched on it in a while, because it just we didn't really have a whole lot of opportunity to, but he's about to start basketball season and baseball season, both of which are pretty heavy stitching for me because the practices are pretty long, and baseball's in the spring when the light is a lot better and everything. I also reorganized it this year so that all of the threads are on one of these like keepers, and that's really helped a lot. And what I've done is I've actually, this is like the temperatures that apply to each color. On the back, I also have the number in case I need it, but this is just the temperatures. So I just look at the record for 2024, and I pick out the thread I need, the color I need, and then I stitch a row. Very, very easy stitching. I considered maybe putting in timeout or UFOing it because I just really don't care about it. But I do think it'll feel great to finish it. And it does kind of commemorate my first year of being an obsessive stitcher. And it also has a lot of great memories stitched into it because of sitting on the sidelines watching my son play sports. So I'm going to stick with it for that reason. Okay, my final one. I can't wait to see how long this WIP parade actually is. Okay, my final project to talk about. It's one of my favorites too. It's little Oliver. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. I made a ton of progress on Oliver this year, and I loved every second of it. So Oliver is a pattern designed by Yasmin's Made with Love. I fell in love with him as soon as I saw him. I actually bought the paper pattern from my local needle workshop, my LNS. They did not have the called for threads, and so what I ended up doing was the owner just helped me do a a color conversion with overdyes, and I love the way it's turned out. It looks amazing. It's a variety of Classic Colorworks, Weeks, and Gentle Arts. I got a ton of progress, like I said, on this year. It has 9,000 stitches altogether. I am now at exactly 51%, so I'm at 4,594. And this represents a lot of work for me because I definitely was not that far. I did so much. I don't even remember, I did so much, I can't even tell you how much I did. One thing I did notice though is that I'm going to run out of this color, which is Merlin. Really pretty, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to run out of it. So I paused and I ordered another one, and the colorway is slightly different. Like you can definitely tell it's a different. I mean, it's not like horrible, but it's a little bit different, like just a tiny bit different. So what I wanted to make sure I did was have a chance to kind of like phase it in, which is why I didn't stitch until I ran out of this. I paused and was like, nope, don't do that. Wait until you get to the next one because I had a feeling it would be different. It's been a couple years, and so that I can just phase it in gradually, and hopefully you won't notice it. I started that one on 12/28/2024, and this one is it's on 40 count Tycho linen from Picture This Plus. It's a pretty yellow. And I just love working on it. The other thing I decided to do as I worked on it, so this little, he's on like a little branch, right? Let me show you the branch. He's on a branch, and in the pattern, the branch is just one of the blues. And I decided I'm going to make the branch brown. I know, so brave and rogue. I'm going to make it a brown branch. It feels like more distinctive to me that way, and it makes more sense to me. And I didn't really love the way it looked in the blue. I was like, well, I don't like the blue that much. Like, it looks great in the owl, but then why is it in the, like, I just was having a moment with it. So I'm going to rip all these stitches out and just replace it with an overdyed brown. Easy peasy. So this beauty, oh, I love him so much. He is precious. So I worked on him a lot. I really love it. And I'm really looking forward to making more progress on him this year. And that's it, you guys. That was 52 projects. My face hurts from talking so much. I'm like, I'm impressed I still have a voice. That's like a major accomplishment for me. If you're still sticking around, like, holy cow, I love you to the moon and back. If you made it this far, I'm really curious to see how many people did. If you made it this far, how about in Oliver's honor, put a little owl emoji in the comments for me. I'm glad we ended on Oliver. It's a good one to end on. Thank you so much for tuning in, especially if you made it all the way through. You are like the trooper, and then some, a trooper and then some. Like I said, I will be posting another update video with some some finishes and things I've been working on that are not like basically finishes because they're not current WIP. So finishes from the last couple months. I might show some of my sewing, and I will also be doing plans for 2026, kind of above and beyond, like just getting which projects to different benchmarks, kind of like how I'm going to be doing that. I'll talk about in my plans video. In the meantime, I hope you're all enjoying WIP season. I hope it is offering inspiration and joy at a time when things are really hard, at least for us here in the States and also a lot of other places, I'm sure, as well. And just know that you're always welcome here, and I'm glad you're here. So say something in the comments, leave me a little owlie, and I'll touch base with you again soon.